All right. We should be live. We should be 5x5 out there. How's it going? How's it going, sir?
In the pipe, 5x5. Name that movie.
Well, it'd be Aliens, and then they copied that for the video game StarCraft.
Very good. Very good. Oh, you even got a gaming reference in there. Very
That's
good. The
right.
original StarCraft. I don't think they say that in StarCraft 2 anywhere.
I haven't played StarCraft 2.
Oh man, it's Saturday. Had a good day today. I spent most of my day for Christmas. My girlfriend bought me, the wood paneling. How do I want to say wood paneling? But the nice decorative wood walls with the vertical slats.
Oh, yeah,
You can
yeah.
do in different finishes. So yeah, and it's also sound management and stuff. So yeah, I've been doing that all day. Got it all done. Had to push my outlets out like an inch, so I have to buy some new screws and fix the outlet boxes. But other than that, it's all in. It looks awesome. So that was a fun project. What about you? What'd you do today?
I got a nice little surprise email because my sister, she said she bought me something for Christmas and it's on back order, and I'm not going to know what it is until I get the email. And I got the email this afternoon, and it's a brand new 3D printer. And so I'm going to be getting a brand new 3D printer, which I'm excited about, sometime in the middle of
Dude.
next month. And yeah, what's funny is like filament that was purchased with the order came in today.
Nice. That
So
kind of gives it away.
well, I mean,
What'd
I
you
got
get?
the email first, and then a couple hours later, I got the filament. It's like, oh, and it's like, yeah, your printer's on back order. It should arrive on essentially Valentine's Day, I think. And
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah,
Which printer did you get?
she got me a Bamboo Labs like A1 series, like really big thing. It was on sale during the holidays, and
Yeah. They always do a December sale. So did you get? It's the A1 with the AMS system, so the four colors. Did you get the whole
yeah,
kit,
it's
or
got the
did you?
four colors. It's got the build plate. It's got a whole bunch of
Awesome,
accessories and attachments on it. She went all out, and I was like, wow,
dude.
this is awesome.
You're
Um,
gonna love it. I've got the P1S, so it's basically the same one, just enclosed, right? So I can do some hotter stuff.
mhm.
But dude, you're gonna love it. I made so many things, dude. My printer was nonstop all of December. I was making stuff, Christmas decorations, nonstop for people.
Yeah.
I made some X-wings and gave them out as gifts. I made some 500% scale Lego minifigs. I made the Wolverine and Deadpool for my buddy's kid. They were like 10 inches tall.
Oh,
Dude, they're
cool.
so great. You're gonna
Yeah.
love it.
Well,
You're
like
gonna love it.
my workshop has got a controlled heating thing, so I don't need an enclosure. So that's why I was able to get this one because prints about like 25 square centimeters or so. So I can do big stuff because I
Yeah.
like for the Christmas. My sister's like, oh, I need all these custom things for around her house because she moved into this brand new apartment with her husband, and my brother-in-law is a really cool guy, so he has like cool ideas. So for the holidays, I printed off a bunch of these things and even got one professionally CNC'd for her. Um, and then she got so excited when she opened them on Christmas Day. And then she's like, "Oh, this is kismet because I got you a really like she says this is kismet because I got you a really great Christmas gift, but you're not going to get an email for it." And I was like, because she didn't give me any like physically anything. I was
Well,
like, and I
they
didn't.
sold out fast, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I didn't
because they
really
have a huge
care
house,
at
man.
that point. But she's like, "You're gonna get an email," and she's like, "It's gonna be on this day." And I'm like, "Okay." And she was right. And she actually like texted me, "Did you get the email today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
She must love you because that's a chunk of change for a Christmas present, especially as older siblings. Like that's a chunk of change. So you guys must
Well, I
like
mean,
each other.
actually, she pretty much nailed the value because the amount of money I spent to make all the stuff that she needed for her place was like almost right on par with that. And I don't,
Ah,
and I knew that her husband was like telling her these types of things, and that she's like, okay, I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna get him for that because she always like tries to one up me on gifts, and because since we were kids, like you'd always buy her a couple of small things, but I'd always make her something because she always liked the cool stuff that nobody else would have, and so like when I first started to do like woodworking and whatnot, like she wanted a custom dollhouse for her Barbies, so I built her a dollhouse for her Barbies, and my dad helped me paint it, and it was a really cool thing,
nice.
and she still has it to this day, and it's pretty good work for someone who is like only like 19 years old at the time.
So
Um,
how far apart are you guys in age then?
8 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm excited. You're gonna be able to print some cool stuff. We'll have to we'll do some co-op prints together. Have some fun. Bamboo Labs. What I love about them the most is that their entire store is built into their app. So it makes it so easy. You find something you like, you want to print, you click on it, and then it imports everything. All your settings are there, ready to go. You just it makes it so easy to do. But of course, you can still print from many other sources as well. But
Well, let's hope one day they sponsor this channel.
you just can't go wrong. Bamboo Labs, they deserve their reputation. They got good price, good quality, and yeah, I've got two. I've got an Elegoo printer too, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, what are we talking about today? Should I bury the lead on my thing? We didn't talk about that.
No, we're gonna do the proper opening here and get us started because we've got 5x5. I want to thank Darren M for being in the chat.
I just meant how I feel about it. Do you want me to hide it till the end?
Yeah. Let's drag it out a little bit for anticipation.
Okay, I figured that's what you would want. Okay.
Yeah, let's have some fun with that. Yeah, because it's cold here, but it's also really dry. So I'll be like, I'm drinking like tons of water for today's show.
I'm in the same boat exactly. So
yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so let's get to it. Welcome to Scripts on Saturdays, the only screenplay review show on the interwebs discussing scripts, both professional and amateur, circulating around Hollywood, giving you, the TV and movie-going audience, a behind-the-scenes and inside track on what writers are pushing and what producers are buying. I am your host, the Script Doctor, and joining me this week is TJ Mack of Mac Media. So happy to have you here, especially for this week's script, because there's a history that I have with the writer of this week's script. An informal one, but one.
Yeah, you guys dated in high school, right?
I was definitely not her type.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay.
No. This, this is we have a screenplay titled "Over Asking," which placed 21st on the 2024 blacklist with 17 votes. It is written by Caroline Dries, and for any longtime followers of my channel, I analyzed the first show she ever was the showrunner for, called Batwoman, and I had many things to say about the choices and level of creativity or lack thereof about it. And what's funny is that after that show was canceled and she managed to get a few executive producer credits on Gotham Knights, which was then subsequently canceled, she wasn't really working in the industry for a while. And this is the script that managed to get on the blacklist and help. The rumor is, I can't verify this, I've asked around, and I'm waiting for final confirmations, but there's a lot of people that are kind of just reiterating the rumor, knowing that it's a rumor, that this script helped her get showrunner duties on the prequel series to Legally Blonde called Elle. So we're going to review this script to see how it is. It's titled Over Asking. Logline is as follows. After a chance encounter with a powerful female litigator, a seemingly perfect couple begin to ask questions about marriage, power, gender, and sex. Tej, share with us the synopsis for Over Asking.
I would love to. All right, here we go. In the glittering world of Manhattan's high society, Margot Pretty, what a great name, and her ambitious hedge fund husband, Christian, receive an irresistible proposition from the powerful litigator, Gillian or Gillian? How did you hear it?
It's supposed to be Jillian, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Gillian, for their dream apartment, one Christian desperately wants. After securing it, the aftermath of the proposition begins to test their seemingly perfect marriage. As cracks widen, Christian's firm suddenly faces a devastating investigation that threatens to destroy everything that they have built. But is Gillian quietly pulling the strings behind the chaos? Or is the truth far more complicated?
So, first thing I have to point out is that there isn't really any questions about gender in this script, despite the logline that Caroline wrote here. There is stuff about power, marriage, and sex. There's nothing about gender. So strike one there, Caroline.
Yeah. And then you did the synopsis, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the synopsis, even like there's so many ways to take different things in this, none of them too seriously, that I'm like, yeah, did it? Like, was their relationship ever? Did it ever seem like? Was it ever really delivered that it was stable to begin with? Like, I never felt that way. But anyway, this is one of those scripts that I was like, let's just keep an open mind, which I did as long as I possibly could. Okay, script, I did it for you. I did it for the fans. And I just let's get into this. Sorry, it's your show. I will shut up. And
No, it's quite all right because this script does pull from a lot of other sources in framework to try and hook you. For starters, as an opening, that is kind of it pulls from the opening to Lethal Weapon. Now, if you remember the awesome movie Lethal Weapon, it opens with kind of like, a shot of Los Angeles at night, where kind of a helicopter shot closing in on a building, and we see a woman kind of out on the ledge, and then eventually she leaps to her death. This one is a little bit similar in that because we have a New York City skyline. We're kind of going from ground level all the way up 18 or 16 stories to this high-rise apartment, where we see this woman, kind of vacant eyes, overwatering a plant, and then she kind of climbs up onto the ledge and slips, and then we cut to black. And then we decide to jump straight into a digital brand empire office, where while we were seeing this opening, we were getting a voiceover of someone talking about like their everyday on TikTok video. What's their regiment for when they wake up in the morning, an ice face bath and shaving legs and coffee, and basically the stuff that no one in their right mind should ever pay attention to on a social media platform like TikTok. And so we find out that the main character is named Margot Pretty. That's her married name. She's 30. Yeah.
Why, when you can make your characters have any name because you're creating them? This isn't some unfortunate thing. You meet someone and they're lovely and you're attracted to them and you find out they have an unfortunate name. That's just how it is. That's not what this is. You're creating these characters. Why such a stupid name? I'm sorry.
Well,
do you want me to be filtered, or do you want me to be like raw on this? Because this is just
go raw, man. That's fine.
There's so many layers to this that I just want to claw my eyes out. And this opening scene, I did not even see the parallel with Lethal Weapon's opening because it's his daughter. It's whose daughter was it? I can't remember.
It's Hunsacker's daughter, right? I think it's Hunsacker's name, or Hunsacker's. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we find out like he's devastated and she was all doped up and that was the main
But she was poisoned, so she would have died anyways.
Who's doing these because wasn't it about the drugs? Like this is a really new hard drug that was really affecting a lot of people, and that was kind of the motive. Like
they were just bringing in drugs from Vietnam, and then and then someone had poisoned her. We don't know exactly the reason why.
I want to rewatch Lethal Weapon now.
Oh yeah, we should do that after the show.
But yeah, you're right. It is very reminiscent of that. And here's the thing: I read that opening scene, and I was definitely I wasn't even turned off of the story at this point because it's the opening scene. Like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm open-minded. Let's see what's happening. And I had to reread it. I misread it that she fell. And I had to go back and read it. I was like, oh no, she jumped. And then I misread it as like, wait, was she? Because the transition is so quick. I'm like, wait, was that just part of the TikTok video? And it was just written in a way that it was like, oh, just kidding. She didn't die. We're just pretending that this thing happened because it was in a video to get your attention. And because it just so quickly cuts to that, like the female voiceover about the ad for typical, like, oh, if you want to live right, then you drink this in the morning and then you should do this and blah, 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 whatever, right? So just the opening is so messy and so convoluted. I don't know if that's even fair to convoluted, but it's like, what is happening? And I was like, okay, well, I guess. And then we get in and then we meet our first character. And first impressions in a script or in a story is the name usually. Not always. Sometimes you have a mysterious character and you reveal the name later. But in this, like, boom, here's the name. And the name instantly makes me go, I don't like you. This is a stupid name. And as a writer, I'm like, why would you do that to your protagonist? Which I'm assuming this is, and later on we do find out it is.
Yep.
And so I don't want to get too far off the part of our show. Part of what we do on your show here is that we analyze the writing, how it's written, right? It's not just here's a script, green light or not, right?
Right.
It's like, well, why this? Why that? What would you do? Whatever. To me, that's the most interesting part.
And is it authentic to what its premise is? That's the other part too. Like, does it live up to what it's trying to set up to? Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what I am now, and because that's part of selling the script, right? Like, This is what I am. Now listen to me. And I'm going to tell you what I am. I'm going to tell you why I am this thing, right? And then you read it metaphorically, right? Mm-hmm. And so this, and that's part of it, right? Like, did you deliver on what you promised? And that's part of the log line, right? Is the promise. Hey, here's what it's going to be. And so, yeah, I agree with you on that level. But the other thing is, like, there's so many layers to if a story is good. And, everything from characters to side stories to like everything comes together to make it a good or great. And I'm just going to tell you right now that there are so many parts of this that I was like so bored. And when I saw 120 pages, how would you even classify this? Like if I was going to walk into Blockbuster, rip Blockbuster back in the day, but this is how I imagine in my brain palace, I'm going to walk into a store and I'm going to go pick a category to go rent a movie. Where in Blockbuster would I find this movie? What shelf would it be?
This would be legitimately under the drama section.
Oh, see, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's good enough. I don't think there's enough drama to even qualify for drama. But you're right. You're right. That's where they would have to put it.
It'd be in comedy, ironically, but that's that's because the store manager decided to put it there.
And I'm so sorry to derail so early on this, but I mean, just that opening scene, it just makes me want to sigh. Right? I'm like, what are we doing? And so, but let's go, because there are some interesting characters. There's some interesting things that happen. And part of this too is I hate TikTok. I hate the short, quick, doom scrolling world that we've turned into. I think it's hurting us far more than it's helping us as a society. And so I don't want to talk about it. And this opening sequence is her getting coached. What are these people called? People actually get paid to do this shit. And they like coach you on how you would be successful in TikTok or whatever. And we find out that Miss Margot here wants to be, was it health stuff? Was that what it was?
Yeah, so she wants to be like a living, healthy TikTok influencer. We have no idea why, because we do learn that her educational background is in finance. And she dropped out for reasons we don't know. So there's a lot of ambiguity here. And yeah, we have basically what's called as like social media brand experts, which are just people that tell you this is what's trending and you should do your social medias like this, which it's essentially a type of scam. Because trends never last too long. It's just we've gone through so many fads. Like fads used to be generational, where you have one or two a decade, and since the internet, we've now had like 30 a year, and nothing lasts. It's just oversaturation of them.
Yeah, and it never will, because there's just too much crap shoved into one place.
Well, there's nothing authentic about it. There's nothing sustainable or satisfying about it. Like. It's a fad is a flash in the pan that doesn't have any contribution to culture other than the fact that it was a fad at the time. So like, hot pink neon shorts for guys between that small window of 1988 and 1989. That was a fad. It didn't really trend well.
Dude, parachute pants lasted at least a year. Those things were sick. I love parachute pants back in the early 90s. So this paragraph was like, I wanted to punch myself in the face. Across the table, Margot Pretty, 33, awaits their reaction. The star of the TikTok has spent her life effortlessly cashing in her winnings from the genetic lottery, but presenting the intellectual artistry swirling inside her brain is terrifying.
Yes.
What? I don't know how to synopsis.
How do I summarize that?
How do I summarize this sentence? Like, so
she's super hot and she's very smart, but she's never had to express her intelligence.
Right. But what a crock of shit. She's super smart according to who? Herself. And that's the thing about Margot as a character throughout this whole thing. I'm like, I hate you. Because we're going to find out that she is a trophy wife, right?
Yep.
And that she's the victim. This poor, beautifully gorgeous girl is just not happy with her life because of reasons we're going to get into. I don't want to jump ahead too far here. But I felt zero sympathy or empathy for anyone in this whole effing show except for the driver. And I told you that in the green room. There's nobody in this that has any value, no moral values, no like nobody that in a social situation that I would ever be like, oh man, if you were really my friend, like I want to be there and help you and support you. None of that. I don't like anybody in here. I think they all deserve nothing, and I feel bad for none of them. Like I'm gonna feel bad for someone. Oh, she's so pretty, but she's really smart. So she's a victim of her beauty. Like so she's like totally got to like figure this out. Like now we're getting to Legally Blonde territory, which is which is actually, part of parallel to what we're talking about because of who wrote this. And I just was like, I don't care. I don't feel bad about some woman living on the Upper West Side with her rich husband. And she just hasn't been able to figure out like her dreams or her whatever. Like, no, she had opportunities just like everyone all throughout her life to get that figured out before she hit her 20s or her 30s. And now we're supposed to be like, she's 33, right? And we're supposed to be like, oh, yeah, you poor thing. You've just been so oppressed by your rich husband. That was your fucking choice. Sorry. Oh my God, I didn't swear. That was your choice to get married in a shallow, loveless marriage because you're hot and he's got money. That's your effing choice. And if that's the economic, if that's a social economic situation that you signed up for, then you don't get to complain about it later because we find out. Let's just get to this story, dude. We're gonna hit all this. I just want to blast it all out there because I got so much emotion behind this. I hate this. The people in this, and therefore the source of the people in this, the person who wrote this, is the type of person that is the biggest problem with Western culture right now, with first world problems, with no real understanding of true empathy or kindness or goodness, and their morals and their ethics are so skewed and so stupid that they say things like genetic lottery. Genetic lottery. You know what? There's a lot of beautiful people out there that have so many other freaking issues and problems, real problems. And you're going to sit here and want me to feel bad for your protagonist because, oh, she has a rich husband who doesn't really love her. Well, fuck you, dude. Like, this pisses me off, dude. I'm sorry, script. Let's do the script. Let's do the script. I'm good. I'm good. I'll shut up.
So even though she does have this rich husband and it's a trophy wife, she doesn't feel disappointed. She's just looking for something to do to make her mark.
Right.
So she foolishly decides to go to social media for that, which shows you that it's kind of a betrayal to presenting the intellectual artistry swirling inside her brain aspect because a creative person doesn't really go to TikTok. It just is, it's not really the place you are there. Like you kind of go there to get attention after you've made something somewhere else.
And I would say I would take it to the core of this, which is a mentally healthy person does not go to external sources for validation. And that's what she needs. That's what she's really searching for here is to feel like she has worth. And you're never going to get that from external places. You'll get highlights from external places, sure. But ultimately it always has to come from inside. Okay, let's keep going. So we've got these people, they're coaching her, and they basically say, no, you couldn't do this because you don't have a story. And you don't have, people can't relate to you because, and then they use the example, fat to fit, right?
Well, first of all, she's a little bit too old because, social media influencers are between like their teenage years and their early to mid 20s. Then on top of that, there's the whole, like, your life is in too good of an order where there's no real journey there. And that's where they go into, like, if you are fat and then went to fit, or fit became fat, or fat to fit and back to fat again, that's a story that people can get on there because those have the dramatic peaks and valleys that social media thrives upon for conflict, right? Because in social media, and you can actually quote, like, Spider-Man because Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin talks about this. It's like the thing that people care about more is not seeing a hero succeed, but seeing one fail. And social media has proven that time and time again. Like they always have those great stories of someone overcomes a challenge that we love them, they're a hero, and then they do something or they fade away, and people are like, ha ha ha, they didn't have the gumption. Like there's that guy that did that song like last year. He was strumming a banjo, big red beard in the middle of nowhere. I can't remember his name anymore, but he was huge for a bit, and then he just blanked out, and now I can't even remember him.
I know what you're talking about, yes.
And that is unfortunately the 15 minutes of fame personified frequently, and that's where you get tons of over in social media.
Okay, but instantly my brain, when they're like, you can't do this because you're too pretty and your life is too put together, and I'm like, so what? None of that matters. Because you're creating this character on social media. People don't know that you have your life together, that you have a rich husband, right? So I'm like, so them coaching her and being like, but that doesn't matter because inauthenticity is the baseline for things like TikTok. Like you just have to pretend to be sincere, or you just have to make up a story, and then people will be like, "Oh, well, yeah, you know." So yeah, she's not gonna be able to fake fat to fit, but she can definitely fake that she doesn't have money, right? And so I just thought, even then, I'm like, your guys' job is to create a persona. Your job is to lie. Your job is to make shit up, and then to like just make up shit that's creative enough and entertaining enough that you get a lot of clicks and that you get a lot of views. So right out of the bat, I'm just kind of like, well, I don't. These guys must not be that good at their job if they're like, well, we're kind of hamstrung by the fact that you have a rich husband, and I mean, yeah, you can be quote unquote hamstrung because you can see that she's pretty, but since when has being pretty ever hurt you on social media, dude? Like, come on. So, I mean, this just already, this feels like we're what, 5 pages in or 4 pages in, and I'm already like, does this woman who's writing this even really understand the stuff that she's trying to write here? Because I hate a lot of the stuff, but even I can instantly poke holes in this. We've already got a plot
problem. One of the things
right
that
here,
you can pull from this is the fact that it is that Carolyn is actually making fun of content managers, because we have this dichotomy here. Oh, you got an attractive 30-something woman who wants to be on social media, and you have a bunch of these 24-year-olds telling her you're too old and you don't fit this stuff here. And we're trying to get away from the obvious aspects, like, you know, listen, a hot woman on social media will get a lot of followers pretty quick. It does not take much.
yeah.
And it's a very easy way. It's why places like TikTok and Instagram make so much revenue, and why people go on there can make a lot of money on there if you just know how to maximize your beauty. And then the difference being is that some people will use it just for influencing and make influencing deals, and other people will use it to direct them for a exclusive content restricted fan page. So it's a messy industry. But the thing that's really like the worst part about this is we never get an understanding as to why Margot is pursuing this method, because we meet one of her friends named Beanie, which seems like a pejorative word, but it's not. And basically her mother is like thanking her for some financial advice that helped her out greatly. And here I'm scratching my head, it's like, well, okay, so why is she not going into finance? Like, why is she doing that? She's married a husband named Christian, who's about 7 or 8 years older than her. And then we have, and this is something that a lot of poor writers do, is they forget the age of their characters, because then later on the script we learn, oh yeah, I met Christian in college. We were both students together. It's like, so wait, did Christian like go back to school a couple of times, or was he kicked out, or was he dropped out? Like, what's the contents here? Because
he was trolling on weekends, dude, for ladies. Yeah, that's what he was doing.
He was like, he was patrolling the campus grounds looking for college honeys now that he has money. And right. Or he also came from money, like his father owns like $100 million worth of value. But yeah, we have this age difference, and then we find out like they went to college together or something of that nature. And it's like, okay, you're not following your own narrative here with your character definitions. But we quickly cut to Christian, who's this, he's a 40-year-old chiseled, sharp banker addressing his colleagues, and he's making an impromptu speech because he shorted a pharmaceutical company because they lost FDA approval and made them a huge bunch of money. And then we find out that since he was hired, he made a mistake because he got onto a lot of drugs, and he ended up losing someone's life savings, and he punched a hole in the wall. And the owner of the company has been covering that hole with a painting, and then now that because he's had this huge success, the owner saying, I can now fix this hole because, that the reminder of your failure is now overshadowed by this great success for you and this firm. So much so that he can now put down $20 million on a dream apartment off of Central Park in New York.
That's a lot of it. That's a lot of success, dude. For that kind of money, right? Like, so. Yeah, and just a quick thing before we move too much further past it is, if she's got, it felt like her whole financial background that we got in like one sentence was just there to let us know that she's smart, right?
Yeah.
And then it was just quickly I just want to let you know she's pretty, but she is smart. And I'm like, well, if she's so smart, then why in the hell is she pursuing TikTok? And you hit it on the head. Like she should be in the financial world too. So it's like, are we doing this just to show that she is superficial and that she is kind of got this worldly mindset of she needs this external validation because she's insecure? And so there are some layers to this, but I also feel like after reading the whole script, there's
There's
layers
no
to
payoff
this.
to it.
We
Like
know there's no layers to this because the layers are always in the third act. The reveal is like, oh, there was this and this and this, and by the way, boom, these all sync up, and this is why it was. And I'm just telling you now, we're not going to give you spoilers for the ending, of course, but I'm telling you, there's no layers to this. And so rereading it and starting at the beginning to analyze it, I'm just sitting here going like, this is all complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time because you are getting exactly what you get with Margot. Like what you see is what you get. And she's not that smart. I don't care if you tell me she has a degree. Her actions.
Oh, she doesn't have a degree. She dropped out. We find out about that.
Well, sorry, but she had a history in finance, or she has this history in finance.
Yeah,
so quote unquote, she's smart. And what I'm saying is, let's just stick with that. Something general. She's smart. If she's so smart, then why do almost all of her actions, not all of them, almost all of them, tell me otherwise? Because actions speak louder than words.
Well, remember,
that's
as a writer, your characters can only be as smart as you. And I'm sorry, but Caroline is punching above her weight class with this type of stuff. The only smart thing she has, that has happened to Margot, is that Margot suggests, well, I'm in finance, maybe I could do a finance TikTok, and the advisors say no, and there's a real reason for that. You don't ever want to give financial advice out on the internet because someone will take it and then they'll get boned and then they'll sue you. So that's a huge liability.
Yes. But the other thing was just like she, with that whole, because here's the thing, I'm analyzing that, Mike. Why is this our introduction to Margot? Because it's got to be important, right? Like your first impression of Margot is that she's just this. Think about it on screen, right? The stuff you can't portray, that you can't, in the script we can say what's in her head. If you can't portray all of that on the screen, so people are going to look at this and just go, "Oh, she's just some early 30s female that is looking for coaching to blow up on social media." Mm-hmm. And she's married to a rich guy who we know is worth millions because of what we now have hard numbers of what's happening at work, right? So, Do you care at all? I mean, who's our protagonist? At this point, you're not sure who our protagonist is.
Well, there's nothing at stake. The want is fickle because there's no personal attachment to the main character for it. Like, it's not like Luke Skywalker who's stuck on a farm and he's doing chores and he's being told by his uncle he can't hang out with his friends and he wants to go out and exceed the rest of the galaxy by going to the academy, and his uncle keeps telling him no. So it's like, yeah, everybody can relate to the fact that a kid wants to do something and their parents tell him, no, you're not ready. It's a very easy stuff here. In this case, we have an accomplished woman with money at her fingertips paying for these coaching consultations because you pay for them. They don't just look at you for free. So she's burning money on this and being told all the things that she doesn't want to hear. And there's nothing for us to connect to for the drive as to why she wants to pursue this particular line of work for fulfillment of sorts.
It's just a modern bored trophy wife. That's all she is. She's she literally and you're trying to put lipstick on this freaking pig at this point. And it's like, no, I don't care. I see what this is. This is just a bored trophy wife. I do not feel bad for some pampered, rich, spoiled brat who, I didn't achieve my life goals. I got some dreams of my own. Like, well, then you should have done that instead of choosing the path that you're fricking on. You chose money over yourself and your own dreams in pursuing all of that, and all of the growth, the personal growth and achievement that comes from choosing that other path. You chose the easy way. You don't get to complain about it later. Oh, I got this rich husband who doesn't love me and does all these other things. He doesn't give me enough attention and now I don't have my own dreams because of it. And like, that's all you. Yes, you've done that. That's like me shooting myself in one foot, blowing off my hand, and then calling you, Script, and being like, I'm in so much pain. It sucks so much, Script. Look what happened to me. And you'll be like, well, how'd you do it? I'm like, well, I did it to myself. What are you going to say? You're going to say you're a freaking idiot. You're a freaking moron, dude. Yeah. You're not going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. That must really suck for you. Like, no, stop it. Just stop it.
Well, at no point does she complain that Christian doesn't love her, because it's not until the proposition do we start to see the first crack in the marriage.
Well, yeah, when the proposition comes in, then she's just like, oh, because then he throws it back in her face about the the earrings or the whatever it was that he bought her, and he's
the bracelet.
It's all transactional, right? It's all transactional, and I'm like, yeah, it is.
Well, actually, Jillian talks about it being transactional, and it's sort of exposes Christian's view on relationships, because after we get his scene about like how he shorted this company and how he's made a whole bunch of money for his own company, he's saying, yeah, I can finally buy this 2-story penthouse off of Central Park. And then his boss is saying, yeah, that's a tough thing. Like, why do you even want that? Like, just, Manage your money better for yourself. And he's like, it's a dream home for me, for my wife, and if he can hold out long enough for his old man to die, he can then pay off the other half of that purchase, which is crazy.
Okay, but on any level, every relationship's transactional. Okay, it is
in some regards, degree. Yeah.
You could easily argue that everything's transactional in any type of relationship, right? So, and especially for two people that work in finance are going to really see the world that way anyway, right? They are, because you are going to see the world through the lens in which you spend a majority of your time. If you're a writer, you're going to spend a lot of time analyzing why people do things, why people say things a certain way. You're going to analyze grammar. There's going to be all these things you're going to do because that's your head. That's where you come from, right? And so for these two to have a transactional relationship, we've already established she's a trophy wife. You put lipstick on it, but she's a trophy wife.
Yep.
Like, so of course it's transactional. She gets money, she gets the lifestyle she wants, and he gets someone pretty to come home to every night. Like, that's your relationship. So what? This is boring. I'm so bored already into this script, dude. And the other thing, I almost lost this. My point is this: the only thing that hasn't been boring is that opening shot of that woman jumping off the building. Okay. And now I challenge you this: what the hell did that have to do with anything?
Oh well, that's
other than
a
twist
hook,
of the
book. Yeah, that's the twist of the script. Yeah,
this is the hook. Other than the piece of tile that got broken that we see in that opening shot, that's foreshadowing. I'm going to hit it on the nose really hard right now. We're not going to get to that point in the story and ruin it for you. But so what? They could have had a cat jump out of the frickin' window. Here's a better example. To me, that opening shot, it's really lazy. It's like, I'm going to do something shocking on the first page to get you hooked.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's okay. That is okay if it's done if it's done well. Lethal Weapon is a perfect example. We've already talked about that, so I'll go back to that well. Because it comes circle round. It creates motive for a huge part of the main story to proceed further in that film. And I don't feel like we ever really get that payoff in this.
No, we do. We get that payoff, specifically. We know exactly how it does come back at the very end.
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm like, I guess because
it's so far apart. And it's not
everything.
Well, it's not a motivating factor. So we're in Lethal Weapon where you have the daughter that's killed herself. That keeps on coming up because they're following up that investigation as to what's happened to the daughter. We find out that the daughter was being killed as a threat to her father, who owns a bank, who's laundering money. And so it all kind of wraps up towards the end. In this case here, we get that opening scene and we don't really get it ever addressed until the very, very end. So it's a forgotten moment. If you're reading the script or watching this film, they pepper some hints about it, but there's a disconnect there because again, we never get the identity of who the woman is until the very, very end. And on top of that, it does have a connection to all the characters in the script. It's a very convoluted type of connection, but it's presented in a very simple way because you're right. You have this one aspect where the writer says, okay, I need these two characters to be the victims of this other character because one of those characters is the reason for this other character to be a victim. So you're like, okay, that's considered a convoluted plot, but if you can present it into a simple enough way, it can kind of work. But you then have this one really big flaw, which is that you as the writer are creating a coincidence to justify the actions of the plot, as opposed to showing a really cool villain that has been manipulating these people for years since the event happened to get them into this position to do this thing this way. And we never get that sense from the characters. More like, oh, they just happened to cross my path and now I started my plan to get my revenge.
Yeah, and that's the coincidental progression of plot is boring. Right? It's very similar to the vein of like having a convenient way for your protagonist to be saved from something, right? Something saves them.
Like, for instance, you're getting beaten up by your antagonist and he suddenly has a heart attack and dies, and therefore your life is spared. Penguin. Excuse me.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I would say as a fan of fiction as well as, my writing that I've done. Is I think that in some situations it's okay to do that if it's somewhat surprising. But if it's a major part of the plot, then no, I'm not okay with that. If it's a side story or something more subtle, and it's like, hey, by the way, this earthquake happened just at this moment, and it caused this chain of events, right? Like some natural disaster affected it, and might have saved someone in a certain situation. If it's something like that's not critical to the plot, then I'm okay with it, and especially if it's not habitual. But yes, if it's something major and it's like, yeah, the heart attack thing you brought up, I can see having pet peeves with that, right? But if it's shot well, it's acted well, and the rest of the story's good, then I might forgive it, right? If
the rest of the story wasn't good, but the acting was amazing in that show. That's the thing. Like it's a reel for actors to show their range, in a show that is definitely patched and hobbled together just to try to make this concept work and position a character into a higher point of power, but not doing so of his own wits or guile or planning, but of the fact that this magical person known as the writer of this universe is allowing this person to win in very easy, silly ways that just completely take the wind out of the sails of drama. And in this case here, we have a little bit of that, but the thing is, it's buried underneath this script. And it's definitely a motivating factor for the writer to getting from scene to scene and character to character, but it's the one thing that you're doing is that the script is not engaging enough with the curiosity of either character like Margot or Christian with regards to the happenings around them. Like there's no red flags popping up that's causing them the issues, because this script is essentially Indecent Proposal, the lesbian version. And then it goes completely off the rails to something else, because in Decent Proposal, Demi Moore's character sleeps with Robert Redford. It bothers Woody Harrelson. They eventually get a divorce. They don't want anyone's money, so the lawyer kind of gets it. And then Demi Moore starts dating Robert Redford, and that just causes like spiraling out of control issues with all the characters. This doesn't go that far. This kind of Caroline, to her effort, does try to create something else going on here, including a little bit of a psychological game that does have a bit more of a payoff, but it's not, I don't know, it just feels television. Like, it's CW television, because, again, this is the world that she was nurtured in. So it doesn't really feel like it has the hard-hitting part of it.
I don't think you're being disingenuous. I think that's a very good summation. It really feels that way. It's the broad and shallow type of feel. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like. And So anyway, so what were your first impressions of Christian then, her husband?
Just an arrogant guy, big on materialism. He seems like, when you have a guy who you find out when he first got hired, he lost a client's life savings and punched a hole through a wall, yet he was still able to retain his job. That raises questions with regards to the atmosphere and environment he's in. And then we kind of can grasp through his familiar relationship that the reason he didn't lose his job is because his father has $100 million like liquid cash in his bank account. So, you don't really want to annoy a person like that with their offspring. But what we also later learn on is that his father, even though he's very, very rich and he's powerful and he does control some of his son's interests, he doesn't give his son any easy handouts. Like when his son goes to say, "Hey, can I get some extra money to buy this apartment?" His father's like, "No." I'm not fronting you $5 or $25 million for an apartment. And here's the other thing that I also think is kind of silly is this guy would rather spend $20 million on an apartment in Central Park, where for an eighth of that, he could get a 2-car garage property in Queens and take the L train to Manhattan Island. Oh, wait, is it the L train? I can't remember. No, maybe it's not. Again, it's been a long time since I had to be in New York. But he could buy a beautiful house for less than that and still commute to work and still have all that extra money that he could safely invest into something to secure his future. But instead, he's like, no, I want to burn it all on a 2-story apartment off of Central Park in Manhattan. It's like, that's not intelligence. That's greed and materialism pushing you forward. And I will say that makes for a pretty good antagonist. The next part is that when we see Christian and Margot together, there's a little bit of a chemistry there, but it just doesn't feel, it's not authentic. And it doesn't feel like there's much effort in there to try to convince us that this is a happy couple that's pretty satisfied with their situation. And we find out so after the fact that, oh, the reason that they're looking at this place is because a foreign investor has purchased their building and everybody's being evicted, which is crazy because New York is a really difficult place to get evicted in. And
yeah, that's anyone who's aware of that would, again, this was something that I just had to gloss over and go, yeah, that wouldn't happen, but whatever, just keep moving because this is what we're doing. But yeah, so. I'm just trying to think. Like, I guess you're right. I didn't feel like their chemistry was that good. It kind of felt like they were. I mean, not terrible, but not good either. It just kind of felt like they were in the twilight of their honeymoon phase of their relationship, right? Like they're getting to where it's just like they're both doing their own thing, whatever. And he's obviously way into money, and I feel like she's just bored. She's bored with the money, and now she's trying to find something entertaining for herself to do, and that's why we've got this whole social media pursuit.
I mean, that happens to a lot. I know some friends that they got a ton of money, they retired young, and they're like, "What do you do all day?" It's like nothing. It's like, never feel bored. He's like, all the time. And I know a couple of millionaires that got like jobs at small retail stores where they work like 3 days a week for minimum wage.
Just for something to do. Yeah, just for something to do. And that's fine. Like, but yeah, so did we get to Jillian, I guess?
We haven't gotten to her introduction yet.
We're talking about real estate, right? So yeah, so do you want to talk about her next, or did you want to hit something else?
Well, one of the things I wanted to point out is that, and I know this, I've encountered this a number of times where trophy wives, especially trophy wives that come from a lot of money, every once in a while they'll be told, hey, you should join the workforce in some regard. And whenever they get there, I anecdotally speaking, and this has been over a dozen times, not a single one lasts more than a week, because they either get bored or either think they should be in charge and don't want to work, or they just decide that it's not for them because it's too stressful. And what's funny is that I know one of them that's the the inheritor of like one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. And yeah, she tried to do a work thing, and then also tried to work for like a volunteer group that helped like impoverished people. She couldn't do it, and on top of that, she also says, I'm not donating money to them to help them make their lives easier. So like she's just a horrible woman. And her sister, who kept on coming through a part-time job I used to work at all the time, demanding stuff and never paying for anything because one of her, I think, in-laws worked at the company. And it was just like, you're a very, very wealthy person. You could pay for the services you want, yet you still go to places and try to get free labor for your problems. That is a very cruel thing, because it's one thing to like, say, oh yeah, you maybe I bought this or something and I need it fixed because it's within the warranty and I don't want to pay extra. That's one thing. But it's another thing where you're going to like family and you're saying, I want free stuff, where you realize like it's your family. You should be supporting their business. If they can solve a problem for you, you shouldn't be exploiting it. Because now everybody, then the people that work for, your relative are going to resent you, because every time you come in here, it's like, great, we're working for you essentially for free. Yeah, we're getting paid by the hour, but we're not making any money off of you to subsidize our payment, which is what customers are. Customer buys something, that money goes towards your pay and operations of the business. And now you have a freeloader coming in that is incredibly wealthy and decides, I'm not going to spend a dime here. My brother owns a place, or my cousin owns a place or something, and yeah, they're just going to do it. It's like, no, that's not how that should work. That's horrible.
But that's kind of how it is, though. Like the rich and famous get free shit all the time, man. That's just how it is. The people who can afford it the most don't have to pay for it,
Yeah, I know that Robert Downey Jr., when he gets some free stuff, he puts it up onto an auction and then he donates those proceeds to some sort of foundation.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because, again, people give celebrities a ton of stuff for free. A lot of it they don't need. And in some cases, they'll say, well, I can use this for some good, for some cause.
Did you watch that? My brain changed channels for just a second. Did you ever watch that car show that RDJ did for like one season? I think it was on Amazon or Netflix.
No, I don't think so.
They only did like 6 or 7 episodes, but yeah, they like do these cool cars, like EV conversions and stuff. I can't remember. It was like a couple of years ago, maybe. Anyway, it's worth a watch. It was pretty fun. It was fun to see him just kind of hanging out, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he might be on a little script, but it was more reality TV-ish. And it was kind of cool. Like one of them, they found the old Mercedes. It was either the exact one or at least the same model of the Mercedes. I'm pretty sure it was a Mercedes, an old Mercedes that his mom had, or his mother, his grandmother. Anyway, when he was a kid, he'd sit in that car, and so they got one, and they put like a biofuel motor in it that could run on like oil out from like a hamburger shop or whatever, right?
Anything that's combustible. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was much more, more green type of motor, because that was kind of the theme of the show, was like, we're going to take these things and make them more, more environmentally friendly or whatever. Anyway, it's cool. It was a cool little show. So, anyone listening, if you haven't seen it, look it up. The Robert Downey Jr. car show. It was pretty cool. It was fun to see him just in that different situation, kind of like a Top Gear kind of a thing. So anyway, it just made me think of that when you brought up RDJ. But yeah, Doctor Doom. Let's see how that's going to go. Okay, I'm done changing.
So with this script here, again, one of the things, like if you want to make us kind of empathize with a character, give us the reason why they're pursuing the goal that they have. I mean, for her, when we kind of meet Margot, she's got credit cards that she pays for everything. She hangs out with her friends. She goes to the gym. She's a socialite. But she only socializes with her friend Beanie, so not much of a socialite, but she does stuff, like boring stuff. So if you're going to show us boring stuff here, let's see how that affects her. And then let's get into, well, why does she want to have some, like, okay, we know she's bored. She wants something to do. Why is she going this route? Because, again, a TikTok person, you're making content, and I have some experience with that, not just in professional for film and television, but also with YouTube, and you're really spending a couple hours a day to put together a video, and then you put it out there, and then you can there's one of two things you can do. You can let the algorithm try to push it for you, which is usually a better point, or you can spend the next 10 hours just advertising it manually across all the social media platforms, hoping you get some traction on it. And unless you've got one heck of a great alluring image, whether you're female or male, it's really not going to work, because despite all the algorithm aspects to it, still requires human input, because that's how the algorithm changes. It changes on your input out there. It's a very self-serving thing. Every user out there has their own algorithm that's automatically built for them based on their interactions online. So you being able to find a way to crack that is going to be really, really, really hard. So the question that I would pose here is like, okay, she wants to be on social media and she wants to do a day in the life type of stuff. The question is, well, show me the value of that to her so that I can understand it. And it only takes a scene. And and if you can do it well, it doesn't need to be more than maybe 2 or 3 pages. You can do it well. You can then win your audience to be on board. Like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I understand why she's going for this. Maybe it's not the thing I would do, but it makes sense for her. And because she's bored, perhaps she would like to, this will give her some more value to her life, and will want to root for her. That's a big part missing from the character of Margot. Like, we just
that would have been nice. Yep.
Just don't get what she's doing. But then we cut to, and this is where it gets really TV, because after we get each scene that kind of introduces the character, we then get Jillian, and it's spelt like Gilligan, but it's Jillian. And so she's in her 50s. She's a fierce, lawyer shark. And we find out that she just defended a professor at a university that was accused of sexually assaulting a student, and got him off, so he's been acquitted. And of course, while she's kind of cutting her way through the press, she goes to the victim and she says, if you want to sue the school, call me. And of course, the victim is like, you're a disgusting excuse for a woman, which is probably one of the very honest commentaries on this character.
Yeah.
And then someone throws red paint on her and her assistant, and they head to the office. And the reason they head to the office is because Jillian says, yeah, I've got someone looking at my home today on the realtor. And then we find out, the people looking at her place is Margot and Christian. And and then we also find out that, Jillian is in her office. She disrobes all of her paint clothes, and she's got her assistants going to go get her some new blouse and pants. She pops open her laptop, and she's looking at the surveillance that she has in her apartment to see the type of people that are viewing her home with the realtor and with the broker agent. And so we get a tour of this massive home that's got like 4 bedrooms. It's like beautiful. It's got a built-in coffee maker, expensive appliances, brand names I've never heard of, but I'm sure they're very posh in some regard.
Yeah, me neither.
And yeah, we're just kind of following them around, and we find out that Evan, who's one of the assistant brokers there, is a friend of Christian, and he's a moron. And he's the one that reveals the exposition that some sort of prince from Jordan purchased the building that they live in and is evicting everybody else out. So now he's just framed to the realtor that his clients are desperate, which is not what you want to do when you're trying to negotiate, purchase of property. So as Jillian is watching them, she's kind of breaking down or doing psychological profiles on these people here, and we get this one scene where, and this one is kind of weird because it does come back as a comment, to be commented on, but it doesn't line up with what was conveyed in the initial scene, and that is there's a kind of like a fruit basket or food basket that's got fruits and waters and stuff. And Margot picks up a water, notices it's not sparkling, but it's flat, and decides to put it down. And then Christian grabs the water and drinks it. And then later, when they talk about that, Jillian infers that, Margot picked up the water and put it and decided not to drink it because it was the only one there, so that her husband could have it. It's like, well, that's not the situation at all. Like the script tells us, it's a water that's not to her standards, which is why she didn't drink it. And right, Christian just didn't care. So that's already off the mark. But what we end up finding out is that, yeah, there's 2 other buyers and that are interested into it. The asking price is like $25 million, and Christian says we can offer 20, and then a call is made, and then the broker says, hey, we have another client coming in 10 minutes. Can I take you down the elevator and answer your questions that way? And once they get off the elevator, we find out that there's this expensive car pulled up that Christian has borrowed from one of his co-workers' relatives, which impresses Margot because it's like, oh, you're really trying to sell the idea that we can afford this place. And of course, Christian's saying, well, we technically can, at this price and not anymore. And so as the car pulls up, the broker basically says, so yeah, the owner wants to meet you in person and is willing to sell to you. So go meet in Central Park by this bench on this time. And we jump to that scene, and that is where, that is where Jillian introduces herself to Margot and Christian. And
okay, I have a question.
Go right ahead.
We're already past it. So when Jillian was watching them through the surveillance cameras, okay, what was the point of Jillian stripping in front of us down to her bra and panties and waiting for her clothes and stuff? Is that like a power move? Is that a baller move just so that she's comfortable in any situation? Like, what was the reason of that scene?
It seemed more like she was just discarding her damaged clothes and then, exercising some voyeurism. So showcasing a little bit of perversion while she waits for her replacement clothes. The other part, too, is also, yeah, there's a power aspect to it. Like how many people can go into their office, disrobe, and have a staff member fetch them replacement clothes. She's the head of her own firm. It's her firm, her name on the firm. It's only hers. She has no partners.
But that doesn't that right there already establish that she's the big boss? Like, what was that? Yeah. I don't know. It just felt like, I'm not complaining if she's.
Well, it's also to drive sex appeal. She's a 50-year-old woman who's supposed to have an amazing body, so that's.
But yeah, so we're basically foreshadowing what we're gonna say, the proposal that's coming later, right? Like we're just establishing, hey, she's hot, so when she proposes, you're gonna be on board for this. It's gonna show you that she's tempting. Yes. So that's what we're doing. That's what that was. Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
So we're in Central Park, and Jillian introduces herself to Christian and Margot, and they just kind of have a little back and forth. And this is where we talk about like how relationships are transactional, because Jillian is calling out on that. Like, clearly you're beautiful, you're rich. Would you two be together if you didn't have these attributes to each other? And of course they can't really answer that. And then Jillian just says, okay, so here's the brass tacks. I want to sell the apartment to you. And of course they're like, that's fantastic. And she says, if I can spend one night there with you. And then she locks eyes with Margot. And both Margot and Christian are, trying to figure out exactly what do they hear and what was actually being asked. And of course, Margot breaks attention saying, "You want to sleep with me?" And Jillian says, "Well, your husband's not my type." And then so, that confirms that Jillian is, of course, a lesbian, and one in really great shape, which kind of bucks against the trend of normal that we see on circulating on social media, but they are out there. I've met some very powerful lesbian women that you would not believe would be interested in other ladies, but are. And so basically, Jillian says, "This is my terms and conditions: is that you get the price point that you want, and in my last night in the apartment is spent with your wife." and then this is the one thing you never want to do: never call attention to the movie's premise that you're ripping off, because Christian just outright says, "Do you think you're Robert Redford?" And it just kind of makes it very self-aware, because now we're thinking about a movie that's much better than the script, and now we're drawing quick comparisons, and this is a very horrible crutch for any writer to try and use. Never bring attention to the movie you're drawing from, or a joke that you're drawing from a better film, unless you can write better than the film you're referencing, in which case many few writers can.
Yeah, because then it makes people want to watch that film.
Right.
It distracts them from your story. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because this goes back into the debate where Jillian says, "Do you really think this woman would be with you if you didn't have money? And would you be with this man if he didn't have money? And also if he didn't look the way that he did?" It's, and you ask, like, how to sweeten the pot. So this is how it is. And of course, Christian is telling her to F off. And he says, then he offers 21 for the apartment. So basically he's like, "I'll throw in another $1 million if you don't want to sleep with my wife." And Margot says, "Well, it's, Jillian says, like, it's not below him if he's still negotiating." Yeah.
I know, but the subtext there also is, my wife is worth $1 million.
No, the wife's worth $5 million. Because $5 million is the difference that she's offering is to making up for. So one night with the wife, knocks $5 million off
his
the price.
rebuttal was $1 million more. It went from 20 to 21. So he's basically like, if you don't sleep with my wife, I'll give you 21, meaning my wife is worth the $1 million difference. But yes, what you're saying is that Jillian is like, "No, I'll give you, it's worth me losing $5 million to be with your wife." So, but you see my point? My point is, her husband is saying, "Well, no, she's only worth 1. That's the real negotiation." Because he's like, I'm willing to go $1 million higher if you don't sleep with my wife. So that's the equation. The equation is minus my wife equals $20 million, or minus my wife equals $1 million more. So he's saying his wife is worth 1 million, whereas Jillian's saying his wife is worth 5 million.
Yeah, pretty much.
So again, we're just like, okay, commodities thing. And yeah, to her credit, at this point, Margot's like, "Oh, this is messed up. Let's get out of here. We're above this, right? Like this is weird."
And then Jillian drops the ticking clock, which is that I'm pulling the trigger on the all cash 25 this weekend. So you have to let me know by noon Friday if I should take yours offer instead. And of course, Margot turns to her husband and says, "Can we fire your friend now?" Because she's looking that he got them in this situation. And of course, what happens later is that we kind of follow Christian and Margot over how they're dealing with this. And here's the other part too. Like, this is where Christian goes to his father Eugene and essentially saying, "Can you give me $5 million so that I don't have to have my wife sleep with the owner of this apartment that we want?" And the father is just saying, "No." Like, that is stupid. And he's also kind of like making a joke here, like the very drug that just got that lost FDA approval was the very drug that allowed his father to conceive him. And he's like, there's some interesting irony there. The drug that brought you into existence, you managed to short and make a ton of money off of.
There's a lot of jokes in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of irony in there, and also we get the sense that his father never thought he could actually do this type of job because he was very bad at trading and when he was a child. And of course, Christian's trying to prove that he's really good at this job, and we learn that he may have had some possible insider knowledge that he exploited in order to get this great deal of wealth. But his father's basically saying, like, you don't you spending all your money on this property is a fool's errand. And yeah, you might if it's a dream, it's within, it might be out of your reach, but of course Christian is saying like, well, it's within my reach because there's a bidding war. And of course Eugene's like, so you want me to help you out? And he's like, hey, maybe I should talk about putting you in a home, just to try and get access to his inheritance. And of course his dad, and his dad's saying like, okay, well, are you doing something smart? Are you confirming that the other offers are legit and they're not just duck blinds to fool you into paying more? And well, we haven't seen any evidence that Christian has proved the others are legit. He just has said, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a chance to do that.
I will say this is that this writing, this dialogue exchange between this father and son is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked this conversation.
It's got motivations. He's here for money, and his father's saying, "I'm not giving you money." Yeah,
it's clever. It's clever and it's punchy. And the line that I was just reading this when you were talking there, and when Christian says, "The reality is, I'm going to inherit 100 times this when you drop dead. No offense. It's an advance." And I'm like, that's what an entitled, spoiled shit would say. Like, that's perfect. That's very well written. Eugene's response: you grew up to be exactly why your mother wanted a daughter. And then Christian: I said no offense.
Yeah.
Like, this is good. Like, this whole script, it's not all bad. There's nuggets in here. And this exchange is one of those. Like, this was entertaining to read. I liked this.
But the way that scene ends is actually really great, because his father says you deserve love and happiness and food and shelter and all of it, but you haven't done anything with your life to deserve a $25 million penthouse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a good theme to have here. But the thing is, Christian's not the main character. So
it's very forgettable. I like the scene. And the dad is like, yes, he's good. He's not just he's not a rollover, right? He's not a pushover. Like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Just come beg me, and I'll give you the money. So I liked that, and that's good for the story. It's conflict, right? So now what are we gonna do? And so that kind of had to happen that way to get us to the next step of what's gonna happen next in the story.
Yep. So I mean, now we get into the first argument between Margot and Christian, which is the fact that Christian is implying that he's okay. Well, he's not implying. He's saying he's okay with Margot sleeping with Jillian because there's an understanding permission, and he suspects that she finds her attractive, all for the exchange of the apartment. But we later find out that he claims that he was hoping she'd say no, but you have to give us a little bit of that in the initial scene. You can't just give us a one-dimensional part where he's essentially making an argument in favor of Margot prostituting herself for an apartment, for basically a discount on the apartment.
Did I miss the part where we established that Margot's bisexual? Like, where did this happen?
This is actually in Christian's argument for her to do it, because she says, you were with some girls in college, right? Not just one girl, girls plural, so you're comfortable with it. And she's like, it's not the point.
Right. I'm on page 28. I'm trying to reread that part because I must have just like read past that, because I was like, wait, how is she? Because it's a big ask just because she's your wife. It's a bigger ask if she's like not into chicks, right? Like, suddenly there's a lot more. So, but yeah, okay. So she did some stuff in college, so therefore it's that part's hand waved away. It's fine. But now the real conundrum is morals, right? Like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay with it and that's the thing. So, could you ask someone that you are married to sleep with someone for $5 million?
No.
Or I couldn't either. There's not a price on that I'd be okay with. And that's why I watched The Proposal once and only once as a teenager, because it mortified the shit out of me. I was like, when you see the fallout after all of that.
Yeah.
And Woody, oh my God. That was when I really saw Woody as a great actor. I mean, I loved him in White Man Can't Jump. I think that came out before The Proposal. I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah, I think so.
And because up until then, I was just like, he's the bartender on Cheers, right? Like, that was Woody. And then I saw him in White Man Can't Jump, and I was like, dude, that movie with him and Wesley Snipes was so good. It's so good now that I'm talking about it. I want to watch it. I haven't watched that in like 5 years. Like, that's a great film. It's because it's not just about basketball, right? There's so much more to that story. Mm-hmm. And what's her name? Rosie Perez was his wife or his girlfriend in that, and she
I
wanted
think
to be
so.
on Jeopardy. There's so many good things in that movie. But Woody was such a great actor, and then I saw him in The Proposal, and I was like, "Holy rap!" Like that is just it made me physically ill to see like what happened to the proposal itself, them actually doing it, and then the fallout afterwards, and then she ends up with him anyway, or with Redford. I don't remember if she ends up with him totally or if they just dated for a
They
while.
just
But
dated
yeah,
for a bit, yeah, while his life is spiraling out of control. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just like, so it's not worth it. The moral of the story is no, it's not effing worth it.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean, like,
the only guy who won out of that was Robert Redford, and it made me hate Robert Redford, who I loved in so many other movies before that, right? Like, what was the baseball one where he was like, oh, that was such a good movie, dude.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking?
yeah. No,
Where
I know what you're
the-
talking about because I mean,
Yeah.
one of my trips to LA when I just started out, like my girlfriend at the time, we went down there and then we went to Vegas, and yeah, we had people like making lewd offers. Oddly enough, I got an offer for myself by a guy, which I turned down, and then another guy offered my girlfriend, and I threatened to like break his legs. And then we were not allowed to be at that casino in Vegas anymore because
So
of that.
what the hell? Like, how common is this, dude? This is
I don't know how
gross.
common it is. I just know that I had a couple of experiences when I was like 21, and that was what made it even creepier because these like me and my girlfriend at the time, we were both obviously in our early 20s. Like we literally were getting carded all the time when we were ordering drinks. And yeah, you have a couple of like big high rollers come up, and they're clearly thinking like, yeah, I'm Robert Redford, and we're looking at them like, no, like even if you were, still no. And yeah, like my girlfriend was very happy with me at the time when I basically threatened, to go to jail. I was like, I'm going to go to jail for you for what that guy said.
No, like the weirdest one I had is I had a girlfriend who was very, very, very attractive, like very beautiful, and she had some guy do the whole "I'm a photographer and I'm going to shoot you," and I was just like, yeah, that's what this is. I was like 21. Maybe
Yeah?
20. No, I wasn't even that old. That was before I moved to, yeah. So no, I was 19 when that happened, and she was 19, and yeah, and I was just like, yeah, this guy is not what he says. He's trying to get your clothes off. He's trying to get in your pants. No, he's legitimate. And then when she like started to like really ask him a bunch of questions, it all fell apart. Of course, it was all a bunch of bullshit. So yeah, they want to prey on the young and naive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the story, we're talking about Christian, and this is the line where I was just like, ugh. This is where like my stomach just kind of twisted. Where he says this is his justification, right? He goes, "I'm asking if under different circumstances you would." Because if you would sleep with her without getting anything out of it, then what's the harm of sleeping with her and letting her do you a favor afterwards?
Oh, that's a cringy line, but on top of that, it's also grammatically incorrect because the Caroline puts than instead of then. Then is the proper use of that term because it's not an alternative. It's a next steps.
It's what happens next. Yes, it's chronological. So yeah, that's true. I missed that while I was reading it, but you're 100% right. So then Margot closes the laptop. Right now, she's gonna get serious. She closes the laptop. If Jillian were a man, would you be making the same argument, Christian? If Jillian were a man, I would have killed him already. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that is what it is, right? Like, it's not about being true to your vows or being committed to who you're with. It's like, well, if it's a girl, it doesn't count, right?
Yeah.
So that tells us that Christian's the kind of guy that he's like, well, if I sleep with another woman in a different zip code, it doesn't count. Right?
Well, it's either
That's the
that
kind of
or it's
dude.
the other aspect is, well, there's no chance of a child coming out of it, so it doesn't count. Because that's the other real threat, right? Like that's the main reason why most men would never prostitute their wives is like, I'm not raising someone else's kid. I mean,
Yeah, but
there's the
I don't
moral
know.
application, well, which is on the surface part, but the other part is like, if a kid comes out of that and she's going to keep it, I'm stuck raising some other jerk off's kid who took my wife. It's like, no, that's not how this works. I mean, but like,
Well, there's plenty of ways for her to avoid being pregnant, or
right,
the
but
day after the morning.
there's always
after
that
pill or
chance,
whatever,
right?
too.
and the other,
I guess that's true. But if that's the case, and the person who it is a millionaire, then I mean, isn't that like a lifetime check or at least 18 years of
yeah, but
money?
the other part too is now you've got, it may be 18 years of money, but you've now got this responsibility and this constant reminder that the kid's not really yours, right? So
yeah, you're right, dude. Every time you look at that kid, you're gonna be like, God damn it! Like, okay, yeah, you're right. That's. Oh, I hate even speculating on this, dude. It makes me feel like I want to
it's
take
really
a shower.
well. The thing that's it.
Ugh.
I mean, even as a writer, when you're looking at these situations, you got to explore like how far down the road can you take this with regards to the conflicts, the drama, and what the characters would be experiencing or thinking at that time. Now, in this case here, like you have this justification where, oh, it's a lesbian thing, so that means that it is purely sexual, purely physical. There's no consequences, biological consequences that could really come out of this, unless Jillian is swarming with STDs. Whereas when you're dealing with something like A Decent Proposal, well, the subtext there is, hey, what if Robert Redford gets Demi Moore pregnant in that movie, right? What's she going to do? Is she going to terminate the pregnancy? Is she going to have the pregnancy? And if so, now she's connected to Robert Redford forever. Even if he's at a distance where he's just funneling her money for the kid, that kid is still, Robert Redford's character's kid. And that's a constant reminder. Now he's in a family that is now an inauthentic family, because that kid is going to believe that the Woody Harrelson character would be his father, and Woody Harrelson has that dramatic irony where both him and Demi Moore both know that's not the case, and eventually that kid's going to find out. and
yeah, well, and what's worse is I just thought this through. I don't want to. I hate putting so much mental energy into this stuff, but in that situation, Woody Harrelson is basically a nanny. Yes. Because yes, you're getting money, but you're raising someone else's kid. So you're getting paid to raise someone else's kid. You're a freaking nanny, dude. Only now it's a nanny with the woman that you love, who cheated on you
with your consent for $1 million. Yeah.
There's so many layers that are horrible. Like, that. Like, let's
bad.
Stop talking about it. I'm going to throw up. But what's funny is in the script after this happens, Christian says, fine, I'm a sexist a-hole. I don't see this as cheating or a power move or anything that big baller Jillian Town thinks it is. And if you're open to it and I don't give a crap, then go have fun and let's get our dream place out of it. Margot's response is what I just said a minute ago. I need a shower. Yeah, it's funny how mental dirtiness makes you want to go take a physical shower, dude. Like, it's so true.
And the same thing for me is like, sure, the place is gorgeous, but it's not worth $25 million or $20 million in a night with my spouse. You'll never find it. You'll never give me an offer that would be equivalent to that. It's not in the books ever.
Yeah. And our all-consumer, like, Western, like, perspective, it's just force-fed to everyone, and everyone not everyone. There's a lot of people that do see through it, but not enough. And you got to just remind yourself, like, it's okay to have goals. It's okay to want some material things. That's okay. That's okay. But there comes a point where you become obsessed. You worship it. And that's when you got to stop, take a step back and go, it's just stuff. It's just stuff. It's a car, it's a house, it's whatever. It's just stuff. None of it really matters. And there's no faster way to come to that realization than to have a real trial smack you in the face in the middle of your life. You lose someone you love to a tragic accident that you have to get through. That will make you appreciate family and friends and love, the things money can't buy. And that'll put shit into perspective real quick. And so I see scripts like this. I see people that are so, like, consumed by all this crap that's just stuff. And I'm like, you're making your life so much more miserable than you don't, and they don't see it, right? They don't see it. They put themselves into this game with a scoreboard that none of it matters. It really doesn't. But to them, it's everything. And so I really have a hard time with scripts or stories, having interest in stories or things like this, because I instantly check out. I'm like, it's just, I don't care. None of this matters, because it's not a scoreboard that has any value to me. And so this $25 million freaking penthouse that they want, like, who cares? I don't give a shit. I don't care. I've been in New York. I visited New York. It's fun.
Here's the thing, right? What problem does getting this penthouse solve? None.
Oh, you're talking story, like, for further the story at this point.
Yeah,
right? Like,
because that's the point, right? Like, I mean, in A Decent Proposal, they're in debt, and he's an architect that's not very successful, and they need the money, so it solves the problem. So there's your drama here.
Yeah.
Okay. What problem? Like, the problem we have here is they're getting evicted, but the guy's got at least $10 million in the bank. you can get a home almost anywhere outside of the main city.
Yeah, so there's no real stake. There's no
right.
real
There's
problem.
no real
You're right.
consequences. No real problems. Yeah.
Oh, you're so right. Why did I not see that? That's so obvious because that is the ultimate MacGuffin in this whole plot, right? What moves this whole plot forward is our end goal is this place. To get this place, we need to do this thing. We have to do this shady thing that creates conflict and drama in our lives. And because of that, that led us to this person who, I guess we're getting into that next, who is not exactly everything she seems to be either. And then I was hoping that's when we're going to revisit this plot contrivance. Is that the word I'm looking for? Where it's like, oh, they just happen to come across her path and be looking for her condo that she's selling.
Right.
So yeah, I don't want to jump too far ahead. Where we're at. We're on page
eventually,
29. Think about the script. We've been talking for an hour and a half, and we're only on page 29.
Yeah, I mean there is lots to say about the
if this has all been analysis, we're not even going through the story that fast. This is all we've been spending most of our time on analysis, dude.
Well, because it's a very thin premise. I mean, here's the thing that kind of hurts the script is that it's a simple plot, but the characters are also relatively simple, and that's not. You can kind of get away with that with TV because over time you can add complexity to the characters, right?
Right.
For a feature film, which this is how it's pitched as. You need those characters to be complex and interesting as quickly as possible. You don't have the real estate, you don't have the attention of the audience in order to make them boring. And you can't create the illusion of complexity with what we have here in this script, which is, perfect. Margot is complex because she wants to be a social media influencer. No, that's a very superficial thing. Give me a stake and a reason why and a drive for this outcome. Don't have it? Okay, then it's not a thing. You're a single-dimensional character. Christian, he's a hedge fund manager who wants this 2-story apartment in downtown Manhattan. Great. Why does he want this apartment? What does it do for him? What problem does it solve? What obstacle is he facing where this apartment overcomes that obstacle? Oh, we haven't presented one? Great. Now you've made me another simple character. Oh, we have Jillian. She's an attorney who will take any case that the price is right. She will feign moral compasses, but at the same time, she is willing to ask for sex from another woman in order to knock $5 million off an apartment that she's selling. Why is she selling this apartment? We do not know. It's very peculiar. We get this very empty thing where it's like too much of space for her at this point, but she's apparently had this apartment for 10 years since her wife had passed away. So in 10 years, now she thinks it's too much space? No, that doesn't hold up. That's weird, and I don't buy into that. It's like either you get rid of it quickly, or you hold on to it because you have those memories of your partner with there. In which case, now you have a better reason for not giving it up as opposed to putting it on the market. And so it's just doesn't line up with typical human behavior. Like even when my dad passed away, my mom wanted to keep the family house, and after a while, it just got too much for her. And even though I owned half of it, she still illegally sold it without my permission.
Oh man!
Because she didn't want to do the upkeep, and even though I was like subsidizing the upkeep away, she still sold it, and that broke my heart too because it was our family home. We'd had it for a long time. Yeah, and even my sister wanted to move in there before she got married. And yeah, we found out a year after it had been sold that it was sold, and we've been in litigation with the bank for a very long time, and they haven't come to a resolution yet.
See, that's already more interesting than this whole script.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's already more interesting. It's way more interesting, and I'm not belittling it because it's real. I'm saying like the stakes are real, and that's a good writer can capture that, and that's not what. Caroline, right? Is her name that wrote this?
Yep, Caroline.
She can't do this. And you're hearing about that. I'd rather listen to you talk for an hour about what that was like, what your memories were, what happened with the actual, what happened next.
Oh yeah, the banks. My mother forged my signature, and the banks are refusing to admit that it's forged, and it doesn't look anything like my signature. And they don't want to own culpabilities, in which case, because they'd be the ones that have to pay out, and then my mom would have to pay out afterwards. So yeah, fighting with the bank.
Are you on good terms with your mom though?
I've never been on good terms with my mom. Me and my sister have never got along with her. She was a trophy wife that didn't do anything and also did not maintain her trophy level status.
Oh my gosh, dude. So
Yeah.
see,
So
see, I
fun
bet you
story. Yeah.
people listening right now probably would rather hear about that than about this script at this point, dude.
I could write something pretty amazing with that script, but yeah, it would be a hard sell because it's dramas of that type don't move so much in Hollywood these days right now. At least when if you want to get it onto a platform where people will really see it and then be like, oh, this is a really beautiful story with moving characters.
Add some ghosts or something really scary, and then sell it to like
Make it a
A24,
horror,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have this so we have a bunch of these really like hanging chad subplots that pop up here. So the next one is like Margot is contemplating possibly doing it. She's doing research into Jillian. She doesn't like who Jillian is because she represents horrible people, and most lawyers do. That's part of the job. And then we cut to Jillian, who is talking with the judge about a possible case where they're going to sue an NGO that was trying to support this 8-year-old who set up a hot dog stand, and someone who bought a hot dog from him died of salmonella poisoning, and all because the NGO like forged health and safety qualifications that could work for a kid who has a small sidewalk hot dog stand, which I don't even know how you could set that up because you have to be a certain age to set up a business or have a proxy. There's lots of other complication things going on here, but Jillian is basically saying, yeah, I'm going to sue the nonprofit and there's nothing you can do about it, and I'm going to send in my summons to them, and it's supposed to establish that she is like a go-getter that doesn't lose the cases that she takes on. And it's really like it's not a needed scene. Like we don't need this because it doesn't give us anything we don't already know about the character. The first introduction, where she got a suspected sexual assault perpetrator off, kind of tells us everything we need to know about her in that regard. And then the next part, which is the next point of interest, is the fact that she's willing to use sex as a form of transactional payment for apartment, also gives us enough of a well-rounded character. Having her go after an NGO, kind of like, yeah, we would figure she'd do that, so you don't really have to tell us that she's doing it or show us that she's going to do that. That's fine. Like, you hit it with the first two. The next part is, well, how does she react or respond to whatever this choice Margot makes? Because that's where you get, your final point to round out your character. You don't need to drill in that she's willing to go after an NGO that she has framed has violated, health and safety protocols. So, like, it's completely redundant.
Yeah, and this is just more evidence just piling up of like, I just don't like any of these people, man. I gotta have somebody to root for in a story. I just do. You know, I gotta have somebody. And I just don't. I don't like to watch a show, and then when the show's over, I just go, wow, I hated everyone. I hate that I spent that time on it. You just feel empty. You just feel cheated. And that's at this point in the story and the plot and everything. I'm just like, I'm not invested in any of you. I don't care. If this was interrupted by a commercial that lasted 4 hours, I wouldn't care, because I'm as invested in that commercial as I am in this script. Yeah, it's just bad, dude. It's just bad. I'll tell you what. Just another quick side note. The opposite of this. I watched this with my girlfriend. We watch Rental Family with Brendan Fraser.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about that.
2 nights ago. Script. You have got to watch it. I think you'll love it. I'd love to talk to you about it after you watch it. It's so good and so, I want to say, just raw, right? Like it's very simple, but the way they put the stories together and the people that because he's basically an actor that gets placed with this firm in Japan where you play a role, but people don't know you're acting, right? So they might hire you to go play like a boyfriend or a brother or whatever, right?
Yeah, I have friends that went over to Japan and Hong Kong to do that, where they pretend to be, they'd play like business moguls for, they'd be paid like $1,000 a day to play a business mogul from the United States, so that they'd go to a party, and then the person who networked them there would then be able to network and make other deals for their company because they know you. Essentially saying, yeah, you network with me, I'll connect you with this guy who's really big in the United States, and then you're done, and then he's got the networks and he builds out his business, and he just makes excuses for why he can't connect you to the U.S. Yeah.
Yes, and that's exactly. Only this is on a more personal level, like some of the stories, and so there's like 3 main stories that it follows, and or there's two main ones and then some smaller ones you kind of have some snippets of, and it could be just somebody hires you because they're lonely, and like one of them in this show, this is a small one, so it's not really a spoiler, but he goes over, goes over and plays video games with this guy who's very introverted and doesn't want to leave his house very often. So he starts to just hang out with him. He just needs someone to come hang out with him, and anyway, so dude, watch it. It's so good. I looked at it and I'm like, it's rare that you see the critics and the fans have really close to the same score. And I think they were both around like 87, 88. I would have given it a 95. It's so good, man. It's one of those that's the opposite of this that we're reading. You're done with it and you're like, that was so good. It was so awesome. And there's no politics, there's no agenda, there's the message, none of that crap. It's just a good show that is very believable, and it shows you sort of they touch on the cultural differences there, right? Like there's certain things you can and can't do. And anyway, it's so good. You need to put it on your list, dude. Put it towards the top of your list. It's worth watching. It's the opposite of what we're talking about tonight. It's worth your time. It respects your time and the characters and the people in it. You care about them within minutes, which you have to be able to do in a good script. Like you said, you have to get to it as quickly as you can. And the other movie I thought about, just because I watched it recently, where they do that in the opening of the film, where I'm instantly interested. I can talk into both characters. Is Fall Guy. I loved Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
Their little banter at the opening of that, and you've got his VO right going, his voiceover's going at the beginning as well. He's like, well, let me tell you about what happened, blah blah blah, and then you've got some good music coming up, and then you see them as he's walking on set, and he's going to do this one more stunt, and they're playfully joking about spicy margaritas. Dude, it's so funny. Like instantly, I'm like, these two have good chemistry. This is great. This is fun. And so the first 3 minutes of the movie, I'm invested. And we are at this point in this film, we'd be like 30 minutes into the film, if not longer. And I'm like, I don't care about any of these people. I'm not invested in any of them. And as a writer, that's what matters, is like, because you don't want to do this because you don't want to spend the 10, 20, whatever, depends on how good of a writer you are, how many rewrites you get to this point. But let's say 20 hours to get to page 30 of your script. And for people who are watching your film to go, I don't effing care. I don't want to do that. Do you want to go blow 30 hours on part of a script that you're just going to throw away because nobody cares? That's terrible. You don't want to do that. So that's why that's part of the reason why this show's good, is like, let's analyze why it's so bad, so that other people that want to get better don't make the same freaking mistakes. Because there's nothing worse than pouring your heart and soul into a project and then it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, because you just, right from the get-go, you're on the wrong path. Right, you're on the wrong path. Right, like you invested all that time to do this thing, and you put all this time and energy in. Imagine if you put that time and energy in, and you'd been on the right path. Right, then it would have had a much better turnout, a better project in the end.
You have to do, like, there's this phrase that Gary Grape says, which is, "I'm too good of a writer to create a perfect first draft."
Yep.
And that's because a good writer knows that, your first draft is going to have flaws. Sometimes you have a vomit draft. Like I do that sometimes. I'll write out a vomit draft. And then from there, I'll extrapolate an outline, and I'll find out, like, okay, what are my themes? What's my premise? How am I living up to it? Where do I revamp it? And then in some cases, I'll write a story from one narrative perspective, and the character will be interesting, but then I'll realize, you know what? If I come at it from a different character and this point of view, I can make it way better. And then I don't lose any of the content that I made. I've now just reframed it from a different point of view to make it a bit more engaging. This script here, you've got three characters that have relatively balanced screen time as an ensemble, but none of these three characters are a character that your average audience member would want to root for. And like, we can play with other scripts. Like, for instance, we had Bad Boy, which was the dog script that we did last year. That was told through the perspective of a dog, and we loved that dog.
Oh, that was us. Yeah, that was us. You and I did that script.
And we also loved the girl that didn't like the dog, but who was trapped in the basement because she was very empathetic, and then the dog won her over because she realized, this is the only way I'm going to get out of here. And she ended up forming a bond with this dog, and we got to see how that came to be.
We need that movie, dude. We need that produced. Oh man, that was so good. That's such a good script. Oh, I love that script.
And in this one here is like, okay, basic things: goals, stakes, urgency. what does a character want? Why they want it? What happens when they get it? What happens if they don't get it? That's how you frame the stakes. And every piece, like the only time we kind of get those questions kind of answered is in that scene between Christian and his father. But the one thing that's missing is that we don't know how Christian's life improves if he gets the apartment. We know he's there. He wants the apartment. We don't know why, but he wants the money. And his father's like, I know you want the money. I don't want to give you the money. And the reason I don't want to give you the money is because you don't do anything with what you have. And that's a great justification.
And we know it's even worse than that, because the first thing when we meet him is he lost another guy's complete life savings, right? So it's not even that he doesn't do anything with what he has. He loses other people's crap too. So there's so many, and so yeah, we're supposed to be on board for this because he just wants a $25 million freaking condo in New York. Who cares? I don't relate to that. That's insane. Mm-hmm. I do not care. So no, I don't empathize. I don't relate. And you need to empathize and relate with the character to get your audience invested. And that's what makes it a good story, is they walk away because they could relate. If you can't relate, you can't connect. If you can't connect, you don't care. If you don't care, nobody comes to your freaking movie and you don't make any money. So like, do it right. And I was desperate. I'll put it to you this way, script. I was desperate for someone and something in this whole script to connect to, because I want to connect. It's like that whole thing, like nobody wants to be sold. No, that's not true. People love to be sold. People love to be sold things. You just have to convince them why. We love to be sold. Cool. Show me something awesome, something in my budget,
or something with value.
Make my life better. Something of value, and I will buy it. I'm excited for that. Everyone is. People don't like to be like harassed by salespeople. That's not the same as not want to be sold on something. Like if all advertising and all commercials were things that were related to topics and things that were interesting to me that would make my life better, do it. The problem is 99% of the crap that I'm shown in ads is stuff I don't care about, that's overpriced, or that's stupid. Or
that we can now make ourselves because of our 3D printers.
Exactly. Yes. Bringing it back around. But yeah, my point is like, we need to have that connection. And that's why we love Frodo. That's why we loved,
that's why we liked Andy Dufresne and Shawshank Redemption. It's why we loved the Bad News Bears and those kids. Like we like underdogs and people that struggle and try to attain something that's, slightly within reach, but we can visualize what the benefit would be if that character achieves their goal.
Yes, and because we see a part of us in them, and we go, oh, I might not be into that thing. I might not have ever served prison time, but seeing Andy in Shawshank and what he's going to go through, I can relate to, being framed and railroaded into prison. Haven't experienced that, but we've all experienced where we've been misjudged, right? where we've been ridiculed, or we've been pushed down unfairly and blamed for things that we didn't do. We can relate to that and go, oh. So then when he does that and he turns around and he's like, I'm not going to go kill this. My wife's cheating on me. I'm not going to do it. But he ends up serving that time. You're so invested. You're so invested. Thank you, Stephen King, for that. So like that's the thing. We don't have that. And then you have to have good, believable stakes. And the stakes in this is, well, I want a $25 million penthouse. So what? Who cares? Who cares about that? Unless you're like people that have that kind of money and live in that world, unless you're those 1%ers that like and even then, do you think that those people are really that attached to that penthouse? Like is it going to be the same kind of attachment as if like, oh, someone is holding my wife hostage and I need to get $25 million. I have 2 hours to do it, and I got to figure out a way to make this happen. Now suddenly we have a clock on it, right? We have a motive that we can relate with, like, and especially if you show me how amazing this person is that got kidnapped, right? Let's make him a child. That's always the easy one. Oh, it's a 7-year-old.
You got Ransom with Mel Gibson. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Now we have stakes that we can relate to. We have a good motivator, and now I'm on board for this story. Like, let's get the bad guys. Let's save the kid. Let's see what happens. At this point, do we want to save the condo? Oh yeah, you're gonna pimp out your wife to get a $25 million condo. There's nothing here. This is vapid, dude. This is crap. I hate it, and I love you, but I hate that you made me read this script, man. It's just man.
Well, I mean,
Oh
you
man,
also have the inverse.
yeah.
Like, what happens when you have an apartment complex that's going to be deliberately demolished because the owners of the buildings did not decide to maintain the upkeep so they could sell the property, and now the people that are living there don't have anywhere else to go because it was a rent-controlled place that fits within their budget, and anywhere else in that city where they also happen to work is not going to be is not going to allow them to have gainful employment as a result, right?
Yeah.
So there's empathetic aspects there. So again, this entire script is predicated around a piece of property that does not seem to have any stakes associated with it for the main characters, because right after we get the stupid Jillian is going to sue the nonprofit, she gets a phone call from Christian from his office, who's Margot is there, and they're like, yep, so yes, talked it over with my wife and she's willing to rock your world for the night. And he's kind of pretty much right on on the button when he's talking that. And of course Margot's saying, well, sorry, it's past the noon deadline, and Christian just makes an argument, well, you're clearly entertaining the call afterwards. And then Jillian says, well, I want another, like, you know, 0.1, like another 100 grand on top of that. And Christian's negotiating is like, okay, take it out of our broker's commission.
And she's like, I will. You know,
she
just
will.
like, it's all business.
And we want to do it tomorrow night, which happens to be the 4th of July, so they bring up the date. That's 4th of July. So great, you know, Independence Day, but they don't do anything with that. Like, we don't see Christian going out to celebrate, or at least avoiding the celebration. We don't really see much of anyone else in the city going to celebrate the 4th of July. It just happens to be the 4th of July when they do get to the apartment. Is there any fireworks going on outside? Well, we don't really see any descriptions of that in the story. What we do get is that Jillian, takes her to the apartment. They kind of do a little bit of a tour around. They share a little bit of a story. Jillian brings out a bottle of scotch that happens to have been made by the distillery that Margot's grandfather started, which didn't really make a lot of money, but had some swill, and that kind of won them over. Jillian says, "Okay, go to this bedroom, and then I'm going to take a shower." And this is the one kind of twist, so to speak, that Caroline provides in this situation, which is that Jillian never enters the bedroom to be with Margot over that night. She ends up leaving, and leaves a note with the bottle of scotch that her grandfather made, saying, just wasn't feeling it, enjoy the place, thank you so much. And now you're like, oh, this is the head game, right? Because you said, I want you, and now you've rejected the person after they've made the commitment, and now you've inserted yourself into their consciousness, where they're going to be constantly wondering, well, what's going on? And then the follow-up to that is when Margot returns home, we see that Christian had a party with his friends, and his friends are gone, but he was like, eating pizza, snacks, and had a video games out, which is, it's always kind of, I mean, I understand it's a thing nowadays, but it's always kind of weird to see, and I think this for myself, like a 40-year-old having like video game consoles, and it's like, yeah, I do this myself every once in a while. Like, I'll put in like the Xbox 360 or the classic Nintendo, and I'll play a little game, but most of the time, when I did it more frequently, I would play the games with my godchildren. Now it's not so much. Now my doctor has said, like, yeah, you should find other ways to distract you that don't lead you to going back into work, because my normal distraction is I sit down, I read a script, or I read a book, and then sometimes I'll get inspired and I'll put down the book and I'll start writing a screenplay. And my doctor's like, yeah, you can't keep doing that. And so that's why I started like the gaming channel on this thing, where I could just kind of fully distract myself with a video game for a number of hours, just so
A totally different outlet. Basically.
Yeah, just so I can cleanse my palate, and because even though the work isn't stressing me out, it's like you are creating a habit of being a workaholic, and it's like, well, yeah, that's my big flaw. I'm a workaholic. I love working, but you got to do other stuff here. But for Christian, we get established that he was kind of celebrating with it, hanging out with his friends and having a good time, knowing that his wife was somewhere else with another woman. And there's something weird about that, because it's it's a deliberate choice that the writer's done to make sure that Christian is completely a jerk and not fit for this relationship, which is fine in one regards, but it doesn't really give a better sense of drama, because Margot comes home, she kind of calls him out on the party, goes to have a bath. Christian asks about it, and instead of telling him the truth that nothing happened, she doesn't say anything otherwise. which now turns Margot into more of a villain because now she is withholding pretty vital information that could make or break the relationship, because now she is letting her husband think that she was with another woman when that was kind of bothering him anyways. And maybe that party was his distraction to not, pay attention to it, as opposed to like being alone at home, not being able to sleep and being stressed out. And then kind of with that stressed out personality being on her about like, okay, so how did it go? How was it? Are you going to see her again? Like, this was supposed to be a one night thing. Like all those other natural questions would happen. Instead, he's like, I distracted myself with my friends for the entire night and got drunk enough to pass out. And now you're here, and now I'm going through those emotions again. But you just now turned your possibly main character into a villain, because what we see following up is that they move into the apartment, and then we go through various points of time. Like, we go through Thanksgiving and then Christmas and the various parties here. And Christian is like getting more and more stressed out about the situation. He's trying not to let it bother him, but every once in a while he'll make a little joke about how the only type of people Margot is interested in that isn't Christian is like bottom feeders, implying that Jillian is what that is. And that's also ends up bothering Margot, and then he's getting more drunk, and then he's buying her gifts, and then we get this one creepy scene during the Christmas party where he buys her some beautiful earrings that match a bracelet that he bought her earlier, and he's trying to force her to wear the earring to the point where he rips out the earring she has and tries to put in the new earring. And I'm like, this is kind of excessive and feels way out of character for Christian at this point. Like, it feels like we haven't built up to this level of conflict yet, because now it's the first time of physical abuse that we see from this character that has not been represented in the first 50 odd pages of the story. Not even been implied that he'd ever be this way. And now he's
and it's kind of like in Frozen when the dude just turns into evil, like it just like out of nowhere. That always bugged the crap out of me.
I've never seen the movies.
You've never seen Frozen?
No interest in seeing it.
Script. Okay, let me just tell you though, just a quick side note.
I never even heard the song, so I don't even know. I've never had that go in my head. Yeah.
I watched it in theaters in 3D because I was like, that was back in the 3D fad, right? It was really big deal. And I freaking loved it. But they had this cool intro thing with Mickey Mouse, like this old school black and white thing in 3D, which made it really cool. But that story, that's what happens is like third act when it hits, it's like, or not quite third act, but when the villain reveals himself, it's the love interest of the one sister, right?
Okay.
And he went from being like the nicest, kindest, sweetest dude. Like they even do that one of their famous songs together, right? And then he just straight up locks her in the room and like puts out the fire so she can like freeze to death in the room. Like basically like just turns full blown evil. Like, haha, now I'm going to get the kingdom. Like, dude, it was so weird. I was like, this is so bizarre. Like I hate in movies. It's not very often, but it does happen sometimes where the villain is so out of nowhere that it's not explained and it's just confusing for the audience. And Frozen is one of those stories. Very famous story because, Disney, but yes, and that's how it felt to me in this. I'm like, what? Like he got so violent with that. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. So answer this question.
Sure.
So after this time, it's Thanksgiving, then Christmas, does she tell her husband that nothing happened?
No, not yet. She doesn't say that until
as
almost a year later. Yeah.
Right. So as a writer reading this, what reason would a writer not want their character to reveal this at this point? What's the point? Why not? Why wouldn't she just come home and say, no, we didn't do it?
I have no idea. I can't figure out a reason other than resentment, which is a very weak reason, because what does she gain out of not telling him?
Right. But I'm saying if you're writing this, let's put it this way. If you're a bad writer, why would you not let your protagonist tell her husband that she didn't have sex with the chick that night? If you're a bad writer, why wouldn't you just write it in the script? Because I guess I'll answer my own question. Because you got to keep the conflict going, right? That's the only reason.
Well,
that's the only reason.
Well, here's the thing. You still have that conflict if she says nothing happens, and you can just say, well, he doesn't believe her. So that's your conflict, right?
But that's good writing. I'm saying if you're a bad writer, what do? You do this, right? You just let it dangle. So it's convenient for the plot, right?
It becomes convenient to the plot, but also detrimental to the character that's withholding the information, because now we're not getting a motivation for it. We're getting, the motivation would be a vindictive nature, but The thing is, we need something a little bit stronger in there, or we need something that conveys more that. So we have Margot agree that she's going to do this, and she's not doing it against her will. She has kind of made the choice under her own will, under her own agency. So she has decided to do this, and her husband's taking advantage of that. And then we're not getting a solid enough conflict for her to say, I'm going to let my husband believe that this happened because of this. Like right now, all we have is a party that was a distraction for him.
Right.
And we don't have enough of a substantial argument about that to make us believe that she would withhold this as a way to sort of torture him for celebrating something with his friends, as opposed to being concerned about her. Like we don't get that much dialogue, because she comes in, she notices the stuff, you get a little quick thing about the party, and then she immediately goes to have a bath, and he comes in to talk to her about what happened, and she just now makes a decision, decides not to say anything.
And we're beyond that now. We're months.
And now we're almost a year beyond that, and he is clearly behaving as someone that's been bothered by this, or at the very least is now regretting it, even though he's got the apartment that he wants. Well, here's the other part too. He has this apartment that he wants, and we're looking at his life, and there's been no change at all. Not with his job. The only negative change has been occurring with his wife, so that's not an advantage. So we've lost the entire reason for him getting this place. So now it's like, great, you put us through this story where he got this place, and there's no payoff to it at all.
And the only reason hasn't told him that is because it would be inconvenient for the plot. Because we have more conflict because she won't tell him. That's what I'm saying. It's so lazy. It's such crappy writing. Like, of course, it's not believable. It's just to dangle it out there and keep the drama going, but it's not realistic at all. Because of course, in reality, such a huge thing. If she came home, even if she was mad at him, because she thought, "Oh, you had a party while I went and did this thing for us," right?
Yeah.
He would say, first of all, she would know in advance. He wouldn't just throw a party like on the spot and be like, she's gone. Oh, I'm going to call my friends and have them come over. Like what would happen is he's like, I'm going to do everything I can because I'm going to go insane thinking about the things that you're doing with that woman. So I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to go with my friends. I'm going to do everything I can to forget, to not even think about it. And then I will be I'll be there for you the next morning. But I hope you can understand that that's what I'm going to have to do to get through that night. And then the proper response would be, if it's going to hurt you that much, let's not do this. Right.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens. Instead, she goes, nothing happens, and she comes home. And so in the context of this story, what's believably realistic is she would have come home, maybe been mad because he had a party because they didn't communicate. That's what he was going to do to be distracted. He says, I did it to be distracted. And then maybe not that night because she's like kind of in shock. She's kind of like weird, whatever. But probably more than not, she would still tell him that night. She's going to say nothing happened. And he's going to say, I don't believe you. And she's going to say, no, this is what happened. And then she explains what happens, and then he's going to be like, well, I'm not sure if I believe you. And then she's going to say, what motive do I have to lie? I had your full permission to go and do this.
And then she would do the one thing. She shows him the gift that Jillian left her, which is the bottle of scotch with the note that says, wasn't feeling it. Enjoy the apartment. Thank you.
Yes. And then if you're a good writer, that's okay to put that bomb out, right? To not let the bomb go off. And then we move in, we just ramp it up. There's some other new conflict, or then she gets another note, the next thing, and says, well, you haven't fulfilled your part of the obligation. I'll let you know when I do.
Well, you can go that way, or you can just say that Christian now starts becoming paranoid because she says, well, she put us into this bind to have you for the night, then rejects you. There's some other ulterior motive, and now he just starts looking for things out of
super paranoid.
Yeah, super paranoid. Yes. Looks for things that causes a destabilization in the relationship. That's how you can have fun with that. I mean, so long as you make the things kind of interesting, because, well, what we do have that does pop up interesting is Christian's boss gives him a call and says, hey, do you know this woman? And he's like, I've never heard the name before. He's like, oh, okay. Like, let me Google her. Googles her, sees the photos, like, yeah, no, I've never seen her before. And he's like, good, because she's with the SEC. And as long as you didn't do anything bad, we should be in good standing. He's like, I don't have no idea why they would be interested in me or anything, because I'm as clean as disinfected. And we then find out that they're starting to investigate him because of this short, because we learned that 2 days after a exec at this company leaves, he buys to short the very company, which then 2 days later gets a denial from the FDA, and then their stock prices plummet, which means he makes a crap load of money, and they're investigating him because the timing is very suspicious. And then we find out at the Christmas party that one of the guests there was that guy that got fired, and he is trying to thank Margot for it, for what Christian did for him afterwards. And Margot has no idea what's going on, and he's drunk and confused, but he kind of lets a little bit slip that he failed a drug test and he got fired from his company, and his company happens to be the one that was shorted by her husband. And she's confused because she doesn't know anything about it. Puts him in a cab, he goes home. And then as the story progresses, we find out that, Christian learned, has no digital record of it or anything of that nature or phone records, but he just learns through in person-to-person contact from his old buddy that failed this drug test that, this company is going to get denied for their erectile dysfunction drug. And, I would like some money in exchange for this information. And so Christian sets up a Cayman Islands bank account in his wife's name for like $300K that goes straight to his buddy. And then he shorts the stock and then gets a windfall for him and his company. And this subplot is what dominates the latter half of the script. All the while, like, Jillian is dwelling on Margot, and instead of suing the NGO company, she's like, no, we're going to drop the case. Just because. And it's a terrible way that Caroline is trying to make Jillian look like she's going to be the good guy in this. It's a weird distraction because the last thing you want with an unreliable narrator is also an unreliable writer. And and this case here, when you start changing the dynamics of the characters so drastically, or at least trying to create a little bit more doubt than what you've established without a reasonably good payoff, it doesn't really work. Because here's the thing: Jillian rejecting this case, nobody, Margot and Christian aren't going to know that. So there's the motivation to doing that is now. It's only to show the audience that, maybe Jillian's a good person. It's like, well, you don't need to convince the audience whether she's a good person or not. You need to convince one of the main characters if she's a good person or not, so that we as the audience will then either question it or accept it. You don't do it as a direct to the audience, because it's not about convincing them through that main means, especially when you've established them as an antagonist. It's about making the characters be the points of interest that convince you that either this character, which started as an antagonist, is now going to be a supporting character to help them, or that there is something underneath of further manipulation, so that you pull your audience to the edge of their seats to be more invested, to see, no, don't fall for this. We don't want our main characters to fall for this person. She's playing you. She's doing these manipulations. Stop, get out. Call her on it. Think, and it's dramatic irony because the characters in question on the receiving end of it don't know the information that we know. And it completely chews up, valuable real estate in the screenplay. And again, it's not something that Jillian can point to. It's like, hey, Margot, in order for me to show you I'm a really good person, I decided not to take that case against that NGO where that 8-year-old kid accidentally killed that old man with salmonella poisoning.
Hey, we can't prove that was the meat that killed him.
And we can't prove that was the meat that killed him either.
She had a crappy case anyway. From what little evidence we got in the script, it wasn't that good of a case anyway. He weighed 300 pounds. And there's no way they could prove that the salmonella poison came from that one hot dog. So, that was really thin. You're right. That was very thin. So,
and we get this really drawn out section of scenes for like 20, 25 pages or so about the investigation.
This was so pointless to me.
Margot,
can you cut all of this? Like almost all of it could go, right?
You could get rid of like majority of it, because you have the investigation, which is it's always at an arm's length for a little bit, and then Margot goes to see Jillian just to find out why she said no. And this is supposed to be like the dramatic flirtation part where they'll get a little bit closer, and then she heads home, and then while she's heading home, Christian's also heading home, and he sees Beanie, her friend, in a restaurant, and he decides to get out of the car, buy some flowers to go see Beanie, or at least we think it's Beanie, but then we learn that, Jillian told Christian that she was going to be out with Beanie that night, and his instinct was to buy her flowers and surprise her when now that he sees that the friend that she was supposed to be with, and now she's not there. And now Margot has to come clean and says, yeah, I went to go see Jillian to find out why she didn't want to be with me that night. That causes a big fight between her and Christian. And it just kind of goes real to nowhere. And then, oh gosh, I can't remember exactly how it worked out, but
I just minimized my app, dude. What page are you on? I accidentally flipped it all the way up.
Pages. I'm going through my notes, so let me scroll through the script because I don't have that up. I'm just going through my notes here.
I think you were around page 80 when we were doing the because you were talking about the part she just confronted Jillian, right? And then she told Christian, we didn't. I want you to confront her because why I want to know why she wouldn't have me that night. Which I'm like, yeah. So this is the point where you reveal to your husband that nothing has happened. So what a crappy human being to let him think that for almost a year, right? Like it's just more just crappy people doing crappy things. I've got nobody to root for in this story except for the guy driving the car. Let's see. I'm on page 83. Nope, I think that's a little too far from where we were. Oh no, that's right where we're at. Okay, so script page 82. Jillian, when you came to view the apartment, I watched you on my cameras. You wanted a bottle of water, but there was only one, so you left it out for Christian. That's about the part you were about to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah,
It was like the misobservation on the water. Okay, so that's where we're at in the script. Or page 80. That's page 81 of the script.
Yeah.
So keep going with what you're saying. Sorry.
So then after that, he find oh god, yeah, we find out that like Beanie told Christian that they didn't have plans with Margot, and she's like maybe effed up and going through text. Of course, Margot comes home and makes an accusation that Christian smells like he came from the strip club. Now, this one is weird because earlier there is a scene with him and his buddies at a strip club, but I guess it's celebrating like it's a bachelor party for one of his colleagues. And there's a line here that says like, oh yeah, when he comes in here, he's not married. Like that's one of the strippers tell him as he puts money in her G-string. And it's implied that maybe he's cheating on her, but the fact that Caroline doesn't commit to showing us that in a scene, creating ambiguity, doesn't, it seems like it's misplaced. But this is also the part where Christian gets ambushed by the SEC officer, and he gets really spooked by that, and then eventually he ends up getting arrested, and it goes into, but he gets released, but then it goes into the news, and then Jillian sends him a text saying, if you need legal help, reach out to me. And then, of course, he tracks her down and nearly strangles her in the street, saying, like, get away from my wife. I think that you did this. You're the reason why this is happening to me. And, you have that type of scene that goes on. And then it eventually gets to where Jillian and Margot kind of reconnect again while Christian is not in the apartment anymore. And Margot is really worried about what's going on and thinks that she's going to be implicated. And this is where Margot and Jillian sort of seduce each other, and then they finally hook up. And then, there's a lot of and thens because there's not really much cause and effect going on here. But after they hook up, Jillian says, like, whatever you or your husband needs, like, just call me and I will help you out of this situation.
Oh my gosh.
Then
Just
Jillian
knowing where this ends. This is so dumb. I know where this all ends, and it's so much dumber going through it again, dude. This is so dumb.
Well, the next big part is that because of Christian's behavior, Jillian decides to go to a divorce lawyer, and when she shows up to the divorce lawyer, her father-in-law is there and basically says, yeah, you're not divorcing my son, because if you divorce my son, it'll make him look like he's guilty, and then everything that you have, which is all his, is gone. But you could sign this deal where if you stick with him for 5 years, you get $5 million, and then you can divorce him. And, of course, Margot is really insulted by this, and she thinks this is a horrible, horrible thing. And
because her values and her morals are so high.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you see why this bugs me so bad on so many different levels? Script, I hate it. Oh, there's so many obvious. There's so much hypocriticism in this.
Hypocrisy.
And thank you, hypocrisy. And there's so much like just they're just terrible. They're all horrible. They're all horrible. There's other shows out right now that I'm not going to mention them, but there are some shows out right now that are kind of popular people like. And again, it's just horrible people. They're all horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people watch shows where everyone's horrible. I don't like it. And so yeah, this is dumb. And just as you're saying this, I'm like, for $5 million, she should have just had what's her face just give her the 5 million and bang her, and then we wouldn't even have a story. We wouldn't have to sit through this whole script. Because she could have got the 5 mil that way, right? Because that's what she was worth, apparently. And she gave up the goods eventually. It just took her a year to get there. I guess because that was the thing. Was I supposed to be in suspense that they were going to finally hook up? Did I feel cheated that she, as a viewer of this story, that they didn't hook up that night? Because I didn't care. But apparently it's been bugging Margot to the point that they hooked back up. They finally did hook up. You know,
they finally hooked up, and then on top of that we have.
I'm saying this isn't a Ross and Rachel situation where will they, won't they, and then they finally do. Like, this was like, it finally happened, and I was like, oh, was I supposed to be worried about this? Like, did I care? Mm-hmm. I didn't care. And therefore it didn't need to happen. Like, so much of this just feels like it's just there with zero explanation. It's just there because when Caroline did her outline for her story draft, she was like, this is what I want to happen.
If she did an outline, yeah.
And then thank you. But then she failed to explain any of these things. And then, because here's the thing, in the explaining, especially in the rewrite, when you find those gaps in your brain, like, wait, I didn't explain this part very well. In the explaining, that's where you find your biggest flaws in the story. And then you either cut them or you fix them. And I feel like none of that happened with this. It was just like, yeah, it's good enough. I want this to be a thing, so therefore it's a thing. Boop. And then I want this thing over here to be a thing. It should be a thing. Boop. And like, we're supposed to just be entertained by this, especially when it's 120 pages long. Like,
yeah. Oh. Well, it gets worse because the next twist is that Jillian makes a commentary about how, yeah, she spoke with Christian and she says he didn't want a bottom feeder to a diabolical bottom feeder to represent her, and Margot clocks that as weird, and then we go through essentially like a scene that reminded me of The Usual Suspects at the end, where you kind of do flashbacks to various things that Verbal Kent said as the detective is piecing together to realize that he's been played. And
when he's reading all the crap off the wall and
off the wall, yeah. And then Margot's going through is like, wait a minute, all these phrases that Margot has said, that other characters have said, that Jillian knows about. How does she know about this? And that's when she starts kind of searching through the apartment and finds that there's a hidden camera in the smoke detector, and then another one in the wine cellar, and then another one in the kitchen, and she realizes that Jillian has been spying on them since the very first day. Like, we know that there's cameras in there. You assume that there was part of a closed circuit that's only for the owner, but Jillian has kept it active for the entire time. And that she has been a player manipulating Christian and Margot this entire time.
Wouldn't you want to check that when you first move into your new place? You know?
You'd think so.
All your cameras are not accessible to anyone else.
It's like, you've got you have $20 million to buy an apartment. You probably know someone that can actually do a sweep of your place to make sure there's no hidden cameras anywhere.
but I need it for the script. So therefore it must exist. I don't have to explain it. It doesn't need to make sense. I need it for the script.
Yeah.
Oh my
goodness. And so this is where, like, Jillian gets called up on Margot. And essentially, Jillian agrees to help Margot, and by doing that, Christian is free from questioning. He returns home. He and Jillian have a conversation where he verbally admits, like, listen, if you say anything, I'll say it was your idea because I put everything in your name with regards to this crime. So you owe me. And of course, Christian leaves, and Margot goes to Jillian. Jillian says, yep, we got it all recording. Here's a thumb drive. Hands it to Margot. And Margot's like, thank you so much. I'm going to put him away, and I'm going to have the place to myself, and I'm going to figure out what to do with my life. And as she steps into the elevator, Jillian's driver steps in, puts his hands around her mouth and throat, and then the doors close. And that's where we cut off the script right here.
Twist? You're gonna leave our poor listeners with that twist script? Oh, you're so evil. I'm sure they were so invested in this story. Now they're gonna have to go read it. Oh my God. So thank you. It's
That's one
over.
option they could do.
It's over. It's over. I need to reach over for some toilet paper now because that's what it feels like. It feels like I just took a huge dump. Dude, this thing was horrible. It was terrible. The one thing, like you said, the one thing I'll pull out of this, the gem, because I think that you need to have some constructive feedback on anything. She's good. This isn't even feedback or constructive. This is just an observation.
Okay.
I think she's pretty good at writing dialogue. I'm not saying that doesn't mean the dialogue is all good. I'm just saying when she does write it, it's pretty good. It's pretty. I'm gonna say punchy. Like we
Has some
talked about
points to it.
earlier.
Yep.
There's some stuff that's like the rhythm is good, the back and forth is good. Like she can write dialogue. I don't think that I like a lot of the dialogue she writes, but she can write dialogue. But this story, this outline, and I'm going to say to you what I said to my girlfriend earlier today when I was telling her about after I'd read this, is that if anything, no matter what, at the end of the day, if you complete a script, even if no one ever sees it but you. If you complete a script, that is freaking phenomenal. Do you understand what percentile of people you're in?
One.
And then yes, and then if you can get it on the blacklist. Now we know there was some finagling to get this on the blacklist from what you know.
Oh yeah.
So but then to get it on the blacklist, that's huge too. So but because we know there's some finagling going on, I can tell you from doing the show with you from over a year, this does not deserve to be on the blacklist at all. This is so boring. This is so nothing. This is blah. This is like so forgettable. I can't wait to purge this from my brain cells. So this, but there is it's not all bad. There's some good in here, right? And thank God there is, because she's been writing ever since Smallville, right? She's got credits as far back as Smallville. She on IMDb.
Caroline Dries, as a writer, she did a couple of episodes, maybe a dozen or so.
She's got 12 episodes on IMDb for Smallville.
Because she's normally like Vampire Diaries and Batwoman are like the two big things she's done. Yeah.
Right. I pulled her when we started, and we were going to talk about her bio a little bit. We kind of breezed past that, but so I'm like, she should know how to write dialogue. She should know how to write a lot better than this. As far as plot and stuff, and especially for length, this film does not deserve 120 pages. This might deserve 80, maybe 90 at the most, at the very most. There's so much time. In fact, why do we even need the whole? I would argue that like you don't need the whole embezzlement subplot at all. I get why it's there, and I get how it all comes together, but you could easily cut that and still keep the majority of this and shorten the script by 30 pages and keep it more focused. And
well, it's TV style, which means every character has a subplot going on that has to button up together, but it comes at the expense of really understanding who the characters are and making them three-dimensional, because all these characters are very one-dimensional. Even with the twists and the things that Jillian is doing that get revealed as the story progresses, it doesn't add any additional depth to her. It just says, oh, she's playing a game of chess and these characters are her pawns. That's still a very simple one-dimensional thing.
This is the shit I hate. Okay, I'm gonna go off. This is the shit I hate. Is if you have a character that proves with their actions and their words both. So it's not just talk and it's a mislead, right? Like no, that proves that their morals and their values are in the effing gutter, dude. They don't have any. Like they don't. And then later on, they take a stand on something. And they're like, well, I'm not going to do that because of this. The Boys, the TV show The Boys on Amazon, some of the main characters do that. And this is why I stopped watching that damn show, is I'm like, no, you don't. You don't get to be a lying, conniving piece of shit and then in the next episode accuse someone else of being a lying, conniving piece of shit. Do you understand? You are that person. You don't have the high road. And I see this all the time in these shows. And I'm like, you are either the person that's on the high road, and then you get to be like, nope, I'm not going to I'm not going to partake of this. I'm going to do what I can to stop this other person from doing this thing. But if you are just as bad, I mean, then and habitually as bad, and yet at the same time you're trying to frame, the writer's trying to frame you as this, or the character themselves are trying to frame themselves as being on the high road and being the better person, I'm out, dude. I am out. Now there's exceptions, or there's plays on that work. Walter White is one of those, because Walter White is supposed to be a hypocrite. His descent into darkness is paved with stones of hypocrisy, right?
Right.
That's a good way to do that. Thank you, Vince, for that, because it's freaking phenomenal. But things like this and characters like in The Boys, these are just ones that I can think of off the top of my head in this passionate moment, piss me off. Like you don't get to get my empathy when this character has no values and no morals, and then somewhere down the line in the movie they do finally do something, and then I'm supposed to just forget about all this other shit that they did. No, they're a horrible piece of shit. You don't get to be the hero by being the villain. And we've got so many great characters anymore. I hate it, dude. I hate it. I hate that we've just turned this whole thing where it's like we need to what do they call it? They disassemble a hero, or they
deconstruction.
That's not the right word. Deconstruct a hero. Well, guess what? When everyone else is deconstructing it, it's not deconstruction anymore. You just have a whole freaking mess. Like, it doesn't work anymore. Like, we need heroes back. We need, and I'm sorry about this rant. I'll stop soon. We need more good, actual moral people in our stories, because that's the contrast to the bad. And when everyone's bad, nobody's bad, because it's all just a bunch of shit. And this, not that this went down that road in a hard way, but it's just another example where this shit happens. And I'm like, write good characters, right? And I mean good. I mean like morally good characters. Bring them back. Because if everyone's an anti-hero, then then they're all just villains. There's no hero anymore. So we're all just doing the bad things, and your things are just a little worse than mine. And what a great show. Clap, 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 roll credits. Like, bullshit. I'm sick of this, dude. We need more good things in our films, and this is a complete garbage waste of time. And I hope people enjoyed our commentary on it, because our commentary is far more entertaining than the script itself. No, I'm going to jump to it. Do not greenlight this piece of shit script.
Well, I don't think it's gonna get a green light, not from us and not from the audience, because over on the Patreon there, the 100% of the voters who voted for on the script voted to pass, which I was not surprised by. Again, Caroline Dries has some significant connections. She's been around in the industry for quite a decent amount of time.
And she's a woman, so she gets special treatment. She's
an openly gay woman, so she got a lot of special treatment.
So she gets more treatment for that. Yep, don't forget that.
But I will say this, like, she does have some strengths, in which case she knows how to write some snappy dialogue, which goes a long way, because a lot of stuff, even some of the things that I correct, it's dialogue mostly. But one of the biggest failings that she has is, well, not so much experience, not so much understanding of structure, not so much good understanding of cause and effect. In fact, one of the episodes of Batwoman has a scene where a criminal is caught into a bathroom, and she justifies her crime by saying that her parents abandoned her. And yet we never see anything to prove that her parents abandoned her, to create empathy as to the person who was kicked out of society and has now had to use crime as a means of survival. We don't see that. We are now, she writes to the point where it's like, just take the word of the character at face value and accept it as fact, as opposed to showing, not telling. And that's a really big problem when you're dealing with stories, when you want to create empathy with characters. And that level of consideration, that level of effort in story seems to be consistent with this one here. Like, I agree with you. This should not be qualified on the blacklist. But again, there are a number of agents and managers through the industry who know how to schmooze people who vote on the blacklist in order to get their clients on the list, or at least at a certain position. What's fascinating is that after Caroline got on this list, she's shortly after, announced to be the showrunner of the prequel to Legally Blonde, Elle, which is essentially her last shot right now. There's nothing else that she has in the works before coming up, which shows you exactly the state of the industry right now. Because again, if she were a popular and good writer, she would have a couple of projects on the go. Even if you're a showrunner, you still have something else on the go, something that's in development, whether it's a feature film or another series that you're going to be working on. That's a mini that's going to be in the off season, because again, a lot of television series, especially today, they're not getting 22 episode orders. They're getting 8 to 13, which means you've got at best 20 weeks of work out of a 52-week year. So you need something to do for those other 32 weeks, which means you have to have something else on the docket. And she doesn't currently have anything else on the docket.
Well, judging by the script, she'll just scroll TikTok. I'm sure that'll keep her busy.
Well, it's
honestly,
it's a little out of character for an established showrunner for a couple of shows who's been in the industry for about 15 years to go from not needing the blacklist to get a job to having to get on the blacklist to get a job, supposedly. That's a sign of the industry saying, yeah, you're okay, you got some skills, but you're not good enough to get something without proving that some people are still interested in your work.
Yeah. Well, and she's got, I mean, I'm looking at her IMDb. She's got executive producer credits on Vampire Diaries and Batwoman.
Yeah, from from Batwoman from 3 years ago and Vampire Diaries almost a decade ago, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big
I watched
gap
like the
there.
first season of Vampire Diaries. It was interesting, but it was kind of juvenile, so I just checked out. It was not for me, dude. I was not the demographic for that
Right.
show. But Gotham Knights, haven't watched 1 second of it. Batwoman, haven't watched 1 second. I have zero interest to. Batwoman 3.6 on IMDb. Gotham Knights 5.3 on IMDb. And then she has some credits on Melrose Place, even 17 episodes.
That's the revamp version. Yeah.
The revamp, yes, the revamp. I should, yeah. But no, honestly, I was thinking about this while you're talking there. I think I would, if I'm honest and sincere, I feel bad. I feel bad for people that live in a world that have a brain and their perception of the world would lead to writing a script like this. There's so many things in here that are so unhealthy. And I'm not saying that good, normal people can't write crazy, evil, or horror fiction. Like, no, I'm not saying that. Of course you can.
Yeah.
As a writer, you got to get in and get your hands dirty on stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's other things. There's fingerprints in a script that will reveal a writer to you. And that's why you like certain writers more over other ones. It's not just in the rhythm. It's more than that. There's this thing that you can't quite put your finger on that you just go, oh, I like this. I like this writer. I like Brandon Sanderson. I like Tolkien. I like you like these different things, and it's like because there's this certain thing to them that you just kind of like, panache, if you will.
Right.
And I'm like, there's things in this that I'm like. The fact that you view the world in such a way that you would have your character say this, or you'd put them in a situation to do this. And I'm just like, and it's there, you can see it. It's that sort of that Hollywood, it's that California mentality. And I'm just like, it's so sad to me that they think that the world is this way when it's not the world, it's their world. And I think that that's kind of the heart of this story. I think I see where she wanted it to go and how to wrap it up, and didn't even come close to hitting that mark. And this was just a script of bad people doing bad things, and then scratching their heads and being confused on why they were suffering and why it sucked, and when their motivations sucked. Everything sucked. This whole thing was sucked. This is a vacuum. This is just a vacuum that sucked. This whole thing. And this, of all the scripts we've done, I think we've done like 15 or so, 12 or 15 at this point together. This is the worst one, man. This is the worst that you've ever made me read. And I'll read whatever because, I will, because it's part of the show. But man, this did not deserve to be on the blacklist. This didn't deserve this doesn't deserve to see the light of day at all, because there's so much more talent, so many more great scripts out there that deserve the attention, the time, and the energy that will never see the light of day, right? It's just so sad because there's so much great stuff out there that we'll never even hear about or know. And here we are spending a Saturday night talking about this garbage, this filth. And again, credit where it's due. You wrote a script, you finished it. That's more than I've done, right? But I've never really put my mind to writing it, wanting to write a script. But the point is, I can understand the effort and to finalize it and get it done. Just to put together a cohesive story, start to finish, and then to write it all out and get it all hammered out and get it done. That's worth credit in and of itself.
Oh, of course.
But good God, put that time and energy into something good. Put it into something good. Don't put it into this.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that the perspective from this writer is that she thinks this is good. And again, that's perspective of anyone in a creative industry. Is you are making something because you think it is good. Rarely do you make something when you think it is bad. And even in some cases, like for instance, speculatively speaking, allegedly Asylum Studios, which makes a lot of straight to streaming or straight to DVD films, a lot of the people who work on that stuff are just happy that they're working and they're trying to make the best thing they can. Some of the people that are financing that don't actually care. And they don't care if it's good or bad. They just are looking for it to get money. And that's a big difference here. I mean, even some of the stuff that is out there that has caused a lot of controversy, everybody that worked on that, mostly, for the most part, with very few exceptions, think they're making something that's great that people are going to enjoy. That's the intention. That's their motivation. What's different is that their entire perspective is not aligned with your broader audience. And even when it comes to like niche franchises and whatnot, it's really hard to kind of nail that because number one, there's no such thing as a unifying voice in fandom, regardless of the franchise, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC, Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Pokemon, whatever you have. There's always divisions and pockets and different things. Like there's no such thing as unison. So
you can't make you can't make everybody happy, is what you're saying.
Exactly, you can't make anybody happy. So the best thing that you can do is just try to make the most authentic and fun story that brings something new to the franchise. That's the biggest important thing, and that's the biggest distinction between a writer and a fan. Is that a fan enjoys the stuff that they enjoy, and they like seeing the familiarity of that. And when they try to like enter the writing area, they repeat what they know because that's the lore, that's the establishment. A writer will look at something and see opportunities to expand and grow and add something new that can fit within the premise of the franchise itself. And sometimes that will hit well with the fans and the general audience, and sometimes it won't. But the one thing that they're doing, which establishes them more as writers versus the fans, is that they're trying to bring something new to the franchise. That is called creative growth. Now, again, there's no guarantee that every new idea that a writer is putting in there is going to come in to that. It's always a risk, but in some cases there's a strategy to it where somebody who might either grew up with a franchise or was assigned for it and did a deep dive into it, saw, you know what, there's an opportunity here to explore something new, and here are the rules where it can fit where it aligns. There's no rule saying it can't do that. Let's explore it. Let's have some fun. Let's see if that story resonates and works. And you end up getting something new that people really enjoy and like. Good example of that, Deep Space Nine. First Star Trek show that is set in a stationary location, not exploring other worlds, dealing with a lot of, dealing with religion, with interstellar politics. And it was a hard sell for the audience to get on board with it. But after a few seasons, it really managed to solidify itself and become and it was always an amazing show, but it actually really kind of made a connection with the core audience of Star Trek and brought in a whole new wave of Star Trek fans as well. As a result, which then it caused them to go back to the Next Generation and then the original series. And then a bunch of them stuck around for Voyager. And Voyager was another thing that took a risk. It's like you have going back to TOS style, but you put them into a completely different part of the galaxy with no connections to the rest of the Federation. So they're completely on their own. A lot of survival stuff going on in there. Not as well done as what a lot of were hoping, but still made some waves.
Yeah, it was Star Trek Survivor, and yeah. I love DS9, and I will argue that DS9's opening score is the best of all the.
It's one of the best ones. Yeah,
I freaking love it, and on the other end, I hate Enterprise, the country freaking rock song they have at the beginning.
It's like a Rod Stewart song, but it doesn't quite fit.
It's so jolting, dude. And I love that show, but I just have to see, as soon as I hear that opening, it's been a long road.
Yeah.
I skip that shite. But no, I agree. I agree with you. Like, you have to take those changes. You have to take some chances to get to explore some new things, right, within the context. What you don't do anymore, because I know it's so popular, and it was popular because it was easy, because it was effing lazy, is you deconstruct. You just, and here's how you do it. I'm so creative. I'm going to take Superman, and I'm going to do the opposite of everything that he's good at. I'm going to make him bad at it. And Batman, everything that he's got, I'm going to make it bad. And like, I'm going to make, and that's all they do. They think that it's creative because what on the surface, you're trying something new, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're going to take Luke Skywalker, and now he's going to be the opposite of how we remembered him. right? Like, no, knock it off, because there's a good way to transition to something new, right? There's a good way to handle it. And you do it through an homage, and you do it through love and respect. And it all starts with that writer. Well, I would say it starts with whoever the showrunners, if we're talking about TV shows, who is going to allow the writer to do that, right? And say, you show it with the proper respect and honor of the pedigree that it deserves. And then, yes, I give you permission to try some new things out. Let's go. And the wrong way to do that is, of course, would be the new Star Trek TV show, which I haven't watched, but I've heard everyone I love talking about it. And what they've done to the show and the characters and the universe is just disgusting. And so, yes, to bring it back to this script, like, I feel like this was just a very wide and shallow and vapid script that I wasn't invested in. The story, wasn't invested in the characters. This would be my example of a script to show people that were potential writers, and I'd say, this is what you don't do. Everything that you do that was done here, you don't do. These are all the wrong things to spend time and energy on, and here's why.
Well, you compare and contrast. You take the script for Indecent Proposal, take the script for Over Asking. You have your students read both, and you say, what does one script do better than the other, and why? And you just go from there.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially doing the same premise, but there's, again, Indecent Proposal has stakes.
It wasn't even a decent proposal. It was the opening, like, part of one scene of Indecent Proposal, and then it was like it didn't even happen until it did a year later. Like, dude, that's even that she couldn't even get that right, dude.
Well,
like,
no, I mean, she does it differently, which is fine. But the core premise is that main couple wants new apartment. Person who owns apartment says, "I'll give it to you at this rate if I can spend a night with your wife." That leads to a series of events that cause the marriage to break up, but the added twist is the person who sells the apartment to them has a motivation to destroy this marriage for personal reasons and vendettas. Explaining it that way is a much better, can create in your imagination a much better story than what actually is on the page. And that's
because you missed an entire other subplot about the freaking embezzlement that was like another distraction.
Not the embezzlement, the insider trading. Yeah,
insider trading. Sorry. But yeah, so that's another thing that makes it even more discombobulated. Like, dude, it's just a train wreck. Just no. You need to have me back on the show soon so I can cleanse my palate with a good script. So, well,
I've got the 2025 blacklist. I'm still figuring out the scheduling on the calendar for it, because I try to make sure it's randomized. Like, I don't want us to be doing, like, the best scripts at the start and then the worst scripts at the end. At least on the tier list, I want to bounce it around, because we've read scripts that are low on the list that are really good that should have been higher, a lot higher. So that's one of the things that makes this a really fun show to discuss. I will say this, like, I'm a little disappointed that I don't see much growth in quality from Caroline Dries, who has had some amazing opportunities in this industry and squandered them. I mean, if anything, I would say she, whether she's aware of it or not, she is Christian in her script, where she wants this penthouse and she's done nothing to earn a $25 million penthouse.
I would agree with that. For a second there, I thought you meant Christian as in the religion, but no. Christian in character, yes, I totally agree with you.
I mean, there's an irony there. Whether she's aware of it or not, it'd be brilliant if she was, but she's like, yeah, I'm in this position. I can work on a television show. I can too. I've worked on 5 last year, and I've got 3 more lined up. But it's like, okay, you have this opportunity, and you haven't proved that you've earned it, and that's the problem. And the thing is, like, she's got some talent. I'm not going to knock her down for that. She can write some decent dialogue here and there, but there's more to screenwriting than good dialogue. And it comes down to character, choices, cause and effect, stakes, urgency, goals, why things happen the way they do, connecting with them in a way, conveying the story that you want. I mean, every great story has something of value to it that allows it to stand the test of time. Like, again, I wrote an article on my Patreon. I strongly suggest if you are a patron, go check it out. And if you're not, feel free to sign up. It's a free trial for the first week. Go read it, because I pose this question. If you believe entertainment is escapism, then it's only logical for me to interpret you viewing reality as a prison. And that is the antithesis of what a good story is. Because a good story is not to make you think reality is of a prison. It's supposed to make you think reality has all this potential, that the real world, that life has more to give than what you've currently seen. Because a great story that is connected with you, moves you, informs you, makes you ask questions, puts you in situations you might never be in before, but makes you ask, how would you react in those situations? And if you do encounter those situations, you know what to do because you've seen the consequences of a bad action as a result.
You just described Rental Family, dude, perfectly. Everything you listen to this back later. Everything you just said, like everything it was like bing, 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 bing. Everything was Rental Family, dude. You gotta watch it. You're gonna love it. It's so good. It does all of those things. It's so amazing.
So that's one of the things that's really, really important to think about. So, man, just like with last week's show, we're getting close to that 3-hour mark, but there was a lot to say. A lot to address. I mean, that's a good. There's a lot to learn here. If you're a writer out there, you want to kind of get into the business or kind of really refine your craft, you learn just as much from mistakes as you can from successes, if not more, and learn from other people's mistakes. Don't deliberately try to repeat them yourself so you can learn, but try to make your own new mistakes and try to find people that you can trust to give you an honest opinion about things, so that you can develop better, because only a person that can first nail the basics of a story, like, you don't have to start reinventing the wheel. Just tell a simple story. It can be as cliched as possible, but if you can tell it well, it means you understand the fundamentals. And it means that people can trust you, that if you get an assignment work, you can work on that project. And that is where you get the chance to start doing a little bit of experimentation. You do a little bit here and there, slowly, so you get better at it, so you understand and can breathe and reflexively recount all the stages of a typical story, so that you know the rules so well that you can do what great writers do, which is they find a way to break the rule without letting the audience know that they have broken the rule until it's way too late, and at the same time they've created a payoff that makes you say, you know what, he or she broke that rule, that in doing so it created this payoff which made this story have so much value and impact for me. I absolutely loved it, and the only way they're able to get away with it is because they understood all the other things that need to happen in the story in order to make that rule not break the story itself. And that's what's really important when it comes to learning and writing. And we can only hope that we get another generation of writers that do so. Right now, there's a huge gap. I am of the youngest generation of writers that know how to write, and I'm in my 40s.
You don't sound a day over 31.
Thank you. Yes, I have a very youthful voice. I'm well aware of that.
You do. It's good, but it's not overly youthful. It's good youthful. It's good.
It's good youthful, yes. It allows me to be a bit more arrogant, which I enjoy. But the other part too is like,
or you can pretend to be naive when you don't want to get involved in certain discussions.
You're I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know. I'm too young to understand that. But then we also have some upcoming writers. Like, I've got a couple of clients that, they're 19, 20. They're in college. They're learning some writing techniques, and they're kind of going down that path that's no longer marketable right now in the industry. And when you tell them that way, and then they say, well, my teachers say it does. It's like, well, how many of their teacher students are currently working right now? Like, he'll tell you the names. And if it's under 10 and you're in a class of 60, and you have to remember those classes are year by year, do the math and the ratio, maybe, they'll teach you what you need to know about screenwriting, but they might not have the best advice when it comes to the types of stories you should be telling. And you should always be telling stories that have a meaning to you, that also can bridge a connection to people of all different types. And you don't try to please everyone. You just try to say, I think this is a cool idea. How do I make it the best? How do I express it the best way possible so that other people can understand why I think it's a cool idea? And cross your fingers and hope that they make that connection, and you end up giving them a great story. So, with that being said, any final thoughts, Mac, before we call it a night?
Nope. I just say hard pass on this. Hard pass.
Hard pass indeed. Yeah, this is definitely a double pass. I will say this though, like it doesn't put me off on wanting to like read a Caroline Dries script in the future, because you never know, she might surprise me. I don't tend to throw away writers if they do a bad script or two, or in Caroline's case 205, because again, that's adding up all the television she's worked on. But you never know. A broken clock can be correct once a day. But with that being said, I want to thank everyone out there listening live. I want to thank Darren M. for moderating the live chat today. We always have a great audience, so fortunately he does not need to do any sort of real screening of anything, so that's always very appreciated. I want to thank everyone listening live. I want to thank everyone listening on the recorded show. As always, if you want to find out the types of scripts that we will be reviewing each and every Saturday, you can join the Patreon. Again, it comes with a 1-week free trial, which gives you access to a ton, like over 300 various posts and learning lessons, not only of the scripts that we review on this show, but also of general writing and writing in general. And also some other screenplay reviews. I know a lot of people are really interested in the Landman show, which is in the second season. I reviewed the pilot a year out before it came because I have that script. I also have some other scripts that'll be dropping over there the next few weeks as well. So I strongly advise heading over there if you're interested in that sort of thing. And if not, I do appreciate you listening to the show, and appreciate everyone's patronage and support, because this is season 3 of a series, and we're going to have a major special during just the week after Thanksgiving, where we're going to do a script-to-screen comparison of Madden, because that's going to be released here, and that's from our first episode. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm working out the logistics of that to get everybody on the stream there. And
have we had a full trailer drop yet on that, or are we still waiting on that?
We've got we got like their first teaser trailer, and I think we'll get a major trailer. Ideally, it would be for the Super Bowl, because that'd be the best time to drop it.
Oh man, that'd be cool. That'd be perfect. Yeah.
So
I'm so excited. Yeah, that was our first, because I did one of the. You were doing the.
We did the second thoughts thing. So yeah, that's whenever. Yeah. Like it's great here. If like for those of you that don't know, like all of our co-hosts, they all get a copy of the script, and if they're not booked for an episode, everyone has an opportunity to like, hey, I want to chime in and say something about the script, and we'll do a second thought show, and we'll display that for them. So a lot of them have had some of that stuff. Some of them just have not been available to do so. But the best scripts, usually the ones that everybody kind of like takes their time to read and says, oh, wow, this is great. They tend to reach out and say, hey, let's do another talk about this. And I'm always happy to make time to get that done. But Madden was like one where like almost everybody was like, I got to talk about this one. And that was
so exciting.
A lot of fun. So yeah, we definitely want to get
Nicolas Cage as John Madden is dude. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize they'd finally dropped a teaser. I just saw that they just had that shot, right?
Yep.
That one picture of them up on IMDb, and yeah, I'm gonna watch this as soon as we're done, because I want to hear him talk, and I want to hear. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be good. But we gotta wait till, when is it coming out?
Comes out Thanksgiving Day weekend, so we won't have enough time. I mean, I'm not going to do a live show on Thanksgiving Day weekend because that's nuts, but we'll do it the week after, so everybody has plenty of time to talk and digest the movie. And did David O. Russell improve the script, or did he botch it? And we can go almost page by page, scene by scene to do that, because we've been sitting on, we've reviewed the script, we've had it for a couple of years now. So I mean, it's a great timeline to show from start to finish.
Here's a question. I don't know if you can answer this, if you know or not, but is Electronic Arts going to get paid money for this? Are they getting a cut of this because they own the rights to Madden, or like, how does that work?
That's a very good question, because it's about the creation of it's supposed to be still about the creation of the game. I think it still is.
Yeah, and they own the game, but I just don't know how that works. Like, can they do a whole movie without paying EA any money? You know?
Technically, well, if they use some of the video game footage, no, they definitely have to pay. If they want to use the people involved with it, those are technically considered public figures. So you can have, as long as you're not causing any sort of slander or liability against them, they're pretty much kind of fair game. But typically in these cases, you kind of want to purchase the rights to those events and stories in order to avoid any type of legal blowback.
Right, and that's kind of what I wondered about. Like, so for example, like John Madden's family, right, that are here, they just say, is it a courtesy call? They just say, hey, we're gonna make a movie, we want to make you aware, it's gonna be a positive thing, or do they actually have to get permission from his family to do it? Like, what exactly? How does that work? Do you
Usually
know?
you have to get permission. So this script was written most likely without permission for the rights. Then got enough traction where MGM and Amazon, when they purchased it, they said, we're purchasing this script and we're going to make sure that we've got all the legal and purchase the rights for the characters and the experiences as well. And then they put it into production with David O. Russell, and he probably did a redraft, in which case they had to renegotiate rights if they had to change or add new characters or what have you. So yeah, it can get relatively expensive, but it's Amazon. They got money to burn. So
John Madden's family will probably get paid.
oh yeah, they'll benefit. John Madden will benefit this. The original game developer of EA would benefit this. EA itself will probably get a little piece of that, but it's mostly going to be whoever created the game, and their story will get far more on that itself.
Yeah, which was what's his name? The guy who actually started
EA, which I don't think he's there anymore, right? So he's retired.
No. He left a long time ago.
Yeah,
but he had that cool name. He's the character that Christian Bale's playing, I think.
He's oh god, the stand-up comic Mulvaney is playing him. Christian Bale's playing the owner of one of the teams.
Okay. Yeah, who's playing the guy with the cool name? I can't think of his name. The guy who started EA. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, if you're listening, look it up. I thought that's who Christian Bale was playing.
No, he's
playing
part of
Al
the
Davis.
Yeah,
he's playing Al Davis. That's
Al
right.
Davis,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Anyway, it's gonna be. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Nicolas Cage do this role, because when I first heard, I'm like, what? That sounds nuts. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, no. If you look at a young John Madden, like, I can see it. So anyway, cool. All right, buddy. Well, sorry, I got us distracted again.
That's okay,
it's all about
man.
the movie.
I want to get people excited for that show, because that's going to be a fun and big show. So I want people to show up for that one, because that'll be something great. But in the meantime, guys, I want to thank you so much for listening this evening or later on the replay, whenever you are. And we'll be back next week with another script, something that's a bit more fun, and also a little bit of a fantasy throwback to old Hollywood. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good one. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your weekend, and never forget, guys, when it comes to great story, it all starts with the script.